Start recording. The TyrantKingKuma. All right. What I did last. Whatever.
So I'll throw something in post.
Yeah, honestly, like whatever. Whatever. Cool. All right. Yeah, let's just honestly, like whatever. Let's just get Peter go. All right. I always feel like if the moment I start, I'm gonna realize I forgot like something. All right,
Something major.
I'm recording, streaming. Should be straight. It should be straight. Oh, my room's a little ratchet. Whatever. Fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck it. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Otaku Talk. I like to call this segment League of Otaku. Here with me today, I have none other than Tyrant King Kuma. Make sure you check him out. Check out his YouTube channel; has really, really great content. So we are meeting because right now there's a bit of a hiatus, a break, not a hiatus. There's a 1 week break between this bombshell that Oda dropped last week, and that was that the entire world of One Piece is going to end up undersea. It's going to either flood, get submerged. We don't quite understand the mechanism that is going to take place yet. I assume that Vegapunk is going to tell us more about it in 1114, as well as maybe some information on the ancient kingdom if we're lucky. But how things have been going, I don't think we're gonna be that lucky. But but yeah, so I just thought this was a really, really great time to just sit back and recontextualize the entirety of what's been going on in One Piece right now. Now knowing what we know that the world is going to I'm just gonna say drown. Uh it really
Essentially.
recontextualizes everything in the story, and now we can start looking at things completely different. So yeah, before we get into it, Mr. Kuma, you got anything to say?
For one, if y'all don't play League, start playing League. Amazing. But I mean, the crazy thing about what we're getting from this chapter is that this is the iceberg of what he's going to reveal. This is the first sentence of the giant reveal we're gonna get. So like we have all these theories already. Just imagine what's gonna happen as we get more of those chapters. And like we know Oda, he's not gonna just explain everything at once.
Hell no.
So he's gonna hit us with like 2 or 3 more chapters of just mysteries. Like I'm so excited for that. I cannot wait for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So how do we want to start this off? Let us start with there's so many ways to tackle it. All right. Let us just start off point blank period with like every sign that we have, every sign illusion that we have had that this is happening. So I guess we could start the most obvious one. The most obvious one obviously is Ennis Lobby, right? Actually, sorry, not Endless Lobby, Water 7, because of the
Yep,
Aqua
yep.
Laguna. So one of the earliest situations we've run into with like water levels changing was actually not just Water 7, but Long Ring Ringland, right? I always like tongue tie myself saying that. Long Ring Ringland?
Such a
Is that
weird.
it?
Is
Is
it
that
like
it?
long ring? I can't say if it's long ring, long land, long ring, ringland.
Long Ring Longland. Long Ring Longland. There we go. And so
It's
we found out that the on that island tides would move in and out, revealing the island. And so at certain time, and there were nomadic animals there. And so at certain times, uh, you were stuck on the island you were at, and then at other times you were able to uh, transport yourself to different islands. And something I think we also found out during that arc is the well, not during that arc, but when we went to the Water 7 arc, is when those tides go in and out during with like Long Ring Longland, uh those are what caused the Aqua Laguna to happen in Water 7. So that's like one of the first examples we've seen of something taking place somewhere else having a tangible effect on something else somewhere else.
and I think that's a really clever piece because
Oh, it is the
it's
man.
it's it's so early. It's so
Yes.
early. And Long Ring is such like a passable part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
So many people forget about Long Ring, even though it's got like great moments. But I think that's where we get to Davy back. And
Mm-hmm.
people want to forget Davy back, so they always forget like that entire subset. But there's so much like content in that little piece by itself. And I think if you use that to build on like Aqua Laguna and stuff, it becomes a lot more important. Which I
Absolutely.
mean, a lot of arcs in One Piece to kind of do that, where they start off very somewhat like minuscule or like to the side, and then you know 500 chapters later, turns out
Way more important. That's what I
super
love.
important.
I know I sound like a broken record. I say this to you almost every time we have like one of these discussions, but like I truly believe that like the peak of One Piece, like when One Piece will have its like renaissance, is going to be when it's over. I think once One Piece is over, once we get the final reveal, and then we have just like what we're doing now, we have the context needed to recontextualize the whole story. When you go back and have your like your second, or for people like us, your like 20th read through, it'll everything will hit different. Like you'll be reading parts that at the time when you read them were mundane, and then be like, oh my god, was that really
It
there?
all
This
makes sense.
Yeah, was that really there this whole time? Did he like he already like he gave us the hits. We just had to like connect the dots, you know?
And there's so many dots. There's so many dots.
So we talked about long long land. We talked about Water 7. It's really cool right now. So Iceberg is already working, like we already have people in this world already trying to develop means of living on floating territories. So we have that. Isn't Thriller Bark is a moving island, right?
Yep. It's
Uh,
basically a giant floating boat that's an island.
we got the Baratier, which in the grand scheme isn't important, but they're going to be looked out for.
Oh yeah.
Like that, it's a good convenience for them.
They planned way far ahead.
Yeah, facts. What else? So like man-made. We got Laboon, we got Crocs and Laboon, and we're gonna be me and Kuma are gonna be talking about the Roger Pirates and the Shanks Pirates and stuff like that. Um, I also really want to talk about Sky Islands, and I think and I always thought like Pyro Bluin or whatever, Pyruvian or whatever it's called. I'm gonna call it Pyro Bloon. Um, was going to be important to the story, and because that's not only how sky clouds are made, but also I believe how you get the Karaseki, the sea stone. And so I'm wondering if like during the use of like the mother flames in the past, if that's where a lot of Sky Islands were born from.
That's a good question.
So, like, what all that evaporation of the whatever and then forming. So, like, I'm really curious. Like, it'd be really interesting if, like, there, like, right above Ennis Lobby, there was like an island and stuff like that. I want to know more about like why it's always day there and stuff like that. Because like that's all well and good, but like scientifically, how does that make sense? Because of like the rotation of like the planet. I also love that to this day, we have never ever, correct me if I'm wrong, I could just be stupid. Have we ever been given a name for what fucking planet we're on?
No,
No. No.
we
It's
don't have a name for the planet or the moons, despite seeing representations of them a bunch of times. That's
exactly.
all like I
Exactly.
think
And I
the
find
closest
that to
we've
be
gotten is birth.
to be interesting. And once again, I think that I can't wait to just have my haha moment, we were right moment with Skypiea, because I've said a million times it's a microcosm of the entire series from beginning to end. I think almost everything you can find in that, and how, and like just like with how the treasure was in the sky, but also in the sky, it was actually underground in the sky. It's gonna be like that, where like the One Piece is probably gonna be in Davy Jones' locker in some kind of ancient civilization under the water. Davy Jones' locker, Atlantis, whatever you want to call it. There's going to be just some hidden ancient civilization that was like the first civilization to ever exist before the first ever flood. And then once they found out about the flood, they started like brainstorming and coming up with all manner of technology to help either fight the flood or circumnavigate the flood. And I think what we're gonna find out with that is those are the ancient weapons, and that one of the big morals and lessons we've like been like learning and talking about throughout this entire freaking series is that like the weapons that you make and stuff, those, like what they're used for might go against what they were created for. And so I feel like we're gonna have this moment where we find out that the ancient weapons were originally created to either aid Joy Boy or just forget Joy Boy. Were just created in general to either try to mitigate or fight against the flooding or whatnot. And certain people, whether it be Emu or whatever, had nefarious plans and wanted to do other things with it, and their purpose was perverted.
Well, I mean, because Joy Boy was directly related to, I think, two of the ancient weapons, right? He knew about Poseidon.
Wait,
Uh,
what do you
for
mean when you say directly related?
He so the coming of Poseidon and the coming of Pluton all happened in the Void Century,
Mm-hmm.
and Joy Boy was essentially more or less collecting and or because we don't know exactly the reason that these things were created,
Mm-hmm.
but Joy Boy was setting things in motion like Noah, and he set Noah knowing about Poseidon. So it's like I don't know exactly why he would be
Making another
one
ship
of the
when
writers.
he has the ship going, like, yeah,
Yeah,
or sorry, Pluton.
because essentially we have Pluton, which is more or less a warship, and then
Yeah.
you have Noah, which is a savior ship.
And when we say warship, like, is that specifically like, is that what they decided to call it, or was it always a warship, or is it just a ship that has great like power on it, and maybe like the weapons on it are made to destroy like the red line, or like you can use them for war, yes, but that's not their purpose.
It's probably closer to that. I mean, I think the blueprints make it look like a warship,
Mm-hmm.
but its intended purpose is not really given.
Yeah, yeah, it's one of those things where it's open to interpretation, and most people when they look at that see a great and powerful weapon.
Because it would make sense why they would make it and then not use it because they made it thinking it would be something helpful, and then someone wants to use it for evil or corrupt purposes, and they end up keeping it locked up in Wano.
Now, here's a question I have, and because we're talking about ships, right? We're talking about ships. Arc Maxim, right? Once again, back to Skypiea being the microcosm of all of this, and like how everything's gonna play out. He ended up using that to go to space. How do you think space is going to play a role in this series. I truly, truly believe in my heart of hearts, like that wasn't just some random thing Oda did, just had Enel fuck off to space, and that's never gonna be relevant again. Had that cover story, and just like had the automata, like there has to be more than meets the eye with that whole situation.
Well, the thing there is, I think what you said with the automata, where we know that the original ancient civilization was basically Egghead,
Mm-hmm.
where it was some of the most advanced technology the world has ever seen. And that's kind of where you would get the idea of the automata, because where else would they come from, and how else would they get to the moon? There's no idea of a creator on the moon. They just have like, and they have like hieroglyphics of the automata as well, meaning at some point when the ancient civilization disappeared, other people saw these creatures and didn't know what they were. So my assumption is that, you know, way back probably predating Void Century, we had access to move freely from whatever we're calling, One Piece Earth to the
Mm-hmm.
moon. And essentially what Nanel did was he recreated that transport,
Yes.
which also happens to look very similar to the Noah, but a smaller version.
Yeah, absolutely. Something really cool with that cover story too was how conveniently he was able to use his power to power up all of the like the city in the moon. But I'm wondering if like a mother flame type device or some like nuclear reactor or whatever originally powered that city. And which brings me to a question. Do you think that as it stands right now, the creatures and races in One Piece are native to the One Piece world? Or do you think it's kind of like long ring long land ring long ring long land example where like maybe it's no a nomadic experience but on like a universal scale.
I think there are certain, I think there are obviously species that kind of existed originally,
Mm-hmm.
but that adapted, like the Birkins, for example, who who lived in Skylands and essentially grew wings, or there's another race that kind of adapted similar to how they do on Long Ring, where basically they take their surroundings and they adapt to it in not like super functional ways,
Mm-hmm.
but just adapt to match where they are.
Yeah.
Like if I recall, the Birkins can't really fly, but they still have,
Wings.
the wings.
It's like
And
a
the same with,
vestigial tail almost.
yeah, and like in long ring, like they kind of they grow longer,
Yep.
but it doesn't really have a suited purpose. I mean, especially like it kind of makes it harder when the waves come up for like them to move around and stuff. But like they adapt to where they are. So I think there are original species and then there's like an adaptive species.
I think that there is going to be something monumental at work with the races in One Piece. So several things. First of all, um, giants have been a big point of focus in the series for a really, really long time, and I think it's kind of a matter of the the world government and Yonko have both been funding experimentation to turn people into giants. And for a lot of times we thought it was for like war purposes, right? Like if we have these big beasts we could fight, but also that could possibly be a means of survival. Like look at San Juan Wolf, like he can literally stand in the ocean. So like that could be like, albeit like kind of like a extreme measure, could be one measure of self preservation. But then another thing I was thinking about was so I said what was it? It's making people giants is one measure I think we have going for us. And what was the other thing that we have people trying to do a lot of in One Piece? Uh, yeah, you continue. It's gonna come back to me. You continue. I had 2 points and I forgot the first point.
All right, to build off of that, so we have the giants are one of the key races. We have Giants, we have Lunarians, and more currently we have Buccaneers. And these three races are kind of like the ones that we kind of keep getting
Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. Continue.
shown again and again and again. And we even have like the Lunarians being recreated with seraphims. Lunarians also being essentially gods of the Red Line at some point. So I think the Lunarians are going to come into play a lot more. I think the Giants are obviously going to come into play a lot more with the Elbaf and with basically because we had Kaido trying to create giants, we had Big Mom trying to create giants, we have the world government trying to draft giants, and even we have like Caesar working with multiple people trying to create this form of giantification. So it seems like having giants on your side one way or the other
Vital.
is
Vital.
yeah, it's what everyone's aiming for.
Yeah. So to piggyback off that, I remember what I was talking about, and that was the fact that humans in One Piece, it's really confusing what the hell is going on with the races. Like do we know if minks and humans can interbreed? Or like long arm tribe and like all the various species of like races can interbreed? I know we know fishmen can interbreed and
Yeah, I think that's the only one I've gotten confirmation of.
exactly.
Like, I think, I think as far as like the long arm and long leg tribes, I think those are just more of a matter of being born with like an extra limb or like an extra appendage.
Yeah,
But as far as
exactly. You
like,
got the three-eyed. You have your Lunarians, and the point is, are they natural? So a handful of questions. One, are they natural creations? Are they evolutions? What does it mean to be a human? You might remember one thing I talked to you about was the confusion with like when Chopper uses his fruit, he doesn't become like what you would expect a typical human to look like. He looks like in almost all of his forms, even his like straight up human form, he looks like a hybrid, like
yeah,
a really hairy man. And I've always wondered like, what does that mean? And then when he goes into his monster point, why exactly does he look like that? Is it some kind of broken awakening? Um, but like, what does it mean to be human? And then like we have certain species that we know nothing about. So I remember I was talking to you about salvaging, right? And how I think that's going to be another important, really important aspect in the grand scheme of this series. And you remember those two scavengers from Jaya, how they look like apes, like an
yep,
orangutan? And I'm like, those guys were humans because they were like related. They were literally related to was it Noland? It was
cricket.
weren't the three of them brothers?
I were they?
Like the two ape dudes, and then Nolan's descent.
I think cricket was just
Cricket, yeah,
working with
cricket.
them.
Oh, okay.
Also, there, sir, you might.
Pull it up right now.
Okay, yeah, it says surrogate son. So he not related, but they basically came together.
Okay. But yeah, I'm wondering like are they minks? Are they just humans that because we've seen numerous times where there are humans that just look like animals, but they're
Yep.
humans. Like sometimes it's a gag. So like what's Oda trying to show us with that? Also with the fact that humans and fishmen can share blood. Like that's super weird. That's not something that like if you think about art there we can't just do that with like random things. We can barely do that with like other humans with like our types. But like let alone like a different like species of sorts.
Yeah, it's always very specific.
Yes. So I'm wondering like what how it's gonna loop back around because in some way, shape, or form, every single pirate, I can't speak for the world government, but every single major pirate crew like Yonko, have their goal has been this like idea of like family and bringing people together. And it's like for what purpose? And at first, I always thought it was like just like an individual desire from the captains. You know, Big Mom wanted a family, and the reason she wanted that was because of her upbringing and like how the orphanage was her family and stuff like that. She wanted to kind of like recreate that. Kaido kind of wanted something like that in the same way, but I think he also wanted his family to be strong. That way, that they could protect themselves. Because in a world where might makes right, like if you don't have the power to like fight for your like freedom and like make your like to shirk other people's rules, then you're gonna be screwed over. Whitebeard, his was the most honestly noble, maybe compared to Roger that we know of, where he was just like their dad. And I don't know. I feel like a lot of the other ones that it was kind of like they had this idea of family, but it was flawed. I don't know what the flaw with Whitebeards was. Maybe Oda's like it's just a little creepy that everyone considers you their daddy. I don't know what I don't quite know what the flaw with Whitebeards was, but there you have it. And then you had Roger, and obviously for obvious reasons we don't know a lot about his crew. Haven't seen like a bunch of his crew.
I I mean, as family goes, I think everyone it's such an idea of I think camaraderie for
Mm-hmm.
one, but also yeah, I think each group is basically making their own family to stand against the world that opposes them.
Yes.
Because like Kaido had his whole setup. He he had a very interlocked setup where he was in Wano by himself with his crew. No one came in, no one left. That was it. Big Mom has her island. She has Toddleland. Everyone stays in that island. You don't leave. You don't go unless Big Mom invites you.
Yep.
You know, uh, Whitebeard, like you said, Whitebeard's kind of like the anomaly of it because he didn't have like a set place. He didn't have like a set ship. He was very much wherever you are, your family.
Yep.
And I mean, I think we can see that Whitebeard kind of his interest as far as like the world just wasn't there. Like he didn't really care about the things that
Nope.
the other Yonko care about, which would explain why he's kind of got this different setup of family.
I kind of like the idea that what might shape up to happen is because my thing is I've always wondered, I've always been curious, like, Odo, what is the point of this story? Like, what are you like? And when I say that, like, not what is the point of the story, but like, he's trying to tell us something. And I think there's a balance between chaos and order, justice and anarchy, law and order and stuff like that. And I we've seen that he doesn't Oda does not hate leaders and he doesn't hate government. Like he's made that very clear. And so I think it might be a situation where maybe to bring back the like nomadic nature of Longland, um maybe it's setting up a world where you have various different nations with and every single person on that in those nations has like want and desire. So you have like a nation of people that love weather, right? You have a nation of people that love to invent science. A nation of people that like medicine. A nation of people like Luffy that like to eat and like just stuff like that. And so it becomes a thing where like people can go to the places that best suit their like personalities and their desires. So that would be interesting, and they would all have charismatic leaders that didn't wish to like subsume like the people under them and like command them, but like allow them to like live in their like various truths and desires at optimal peace.
I mean, that's kind of what the revolutionaries are working at, right?
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, they're going to liberate these lands, but make sure that the lands keep who they are. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't serve the Celestial Dragon's little government, but you don't serve us or anybody. You exist here as your own, do things on your own. Be your own leaders, carry out your own craft. That's what we are about, making sure that you have the facilities to do that.
Absolutely. So back to the question I asked you earlier. Do we feel like most of the beings currently on this planet are from this planet? I personally am starting to think otherwise. That they got that it just seems so. So what's the voice century? 800 years? What is it?
Yeah, so I think it's 800 years from the main storyline.
Mm-hmm.
There was the 100-year gap. So like from 900 years ago, there was a 100-year gap, and then 800 years after that, we were in the present story.
Got you. So we are at this really weird place in One Piece where we're talking about like clones, cyborgs, pacifista and stuff like that. And if Vegapunk and all these scientists that we know of now are able to do all these incredible things, like like even Vegapunk's like trying to make dragons and shit right now. Like, what exactly existed back then, and what were they capable of making? And I wouldn't be surprised if like there was some figure that did play God and create a bunch of these races. And but the point isn't to treat them as like artificial races, like kind of like the automata that we found in the other places, but they're like they're truly living, breathing like being. But like, what would the point of that be though? So,
It's interesting. I mean, one of the theories that I've had for a very long time is that the civilization during the Void Century, essentially they're the reason this world has devil fruits.
mhm,
Basically, like you said, they were playing God
mhm,
and essentially created these subsets of divine power. Uh, but essentially, they have the drawback of being hated by nature for being man-made, essentially. So I think, in a way, they certainly could have been creating species as well. I think the idea of like experimentation, the idea of like taking the lineage factor
mhm,
and just messing with that to create all kinds of things is entirely a possibility. They could have created Lunarians at some point, and then we
exactly,
have the science to recreate them.
exactly. Exactly. Like there's so much more than meets the eye here. And like now that we know that the world is drowning, like that just adds another element of like why exactly is the devil fruit's weakness like that? Like water, like the thing that the inevitable like aqua purge that is going to happen, devil fruit users are powerless again. Like they're in the most screwed situation they could be in.
I think that the essentially the faction that created the Devil Fruit, if they are man-made,
Mm-hmm.
opposes the faction that created the ancient weapons and kind of has
Ooh,
this idea of the world sinking. So
okay.
like these are two opposing factions where they
Diametrically
want to say,
opposed.
yeah,
Yeah, beings.
because we know that at some point Wano was open.
Mm-hmm.
And Wano, while Wano has Pluton like buried within the depths, Wano doesn't know anything about devil fruits. Wano has no idea what a devil fruit is,
I forgot
despite
about that.
despite Lady Toki being the oldest known devil fruit user, having hers from 800 years ago in the Void Century. So we know that they existed, but for Wano to not know about it and then be closed off and then never know about it would mean there was an era where they didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
And that has to be pre-Void Century.
Okay.
So my guess is that we have these ancient weapons to fight off this power they created. And these ancient weapons have the power to basically control the sea. Because they're all, well, we still don't know about Uranus, but so far Pluton and Poseidon are very sea related. One, they're both under the sea right now, and two, their ideal purpose in the story so far is to help raise the sea level, whether it be Poseidon, using the Sea Kings to raise it, or it be Pluton destroying the Red Line, creating giant waves and such. We still don't know what Uranus's effect is, but
We're just kind of all guessing right now. Uranus is somehow related to the mother flame and the like the thing that appeared above the island before the mother flame was used.
yep, because I think in the general sense of Uranus, it roughly translate to like sky god and or almost translates to like a heavily demon like a Doflamingo, but it deals heavily with the sky as opposed to Poseidon and Pluton, which deal with the sea. So it's like the one standout that could be, the one we have hovering above us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, so like to stay on topic with like just the world drowning, just like what aspects of the story have like changed now or have been like just completely like what else has been flipped on its head? Oh, great one. All right, what do you think is going on with Tequila Wolf?
Ah, yes, giant bridge. So that that's an interesting one because we we just know that the bridge is basically supposed to go on until it connects to itself, right? It's literally just supposed to be a giant bridge that connects the world together as
Wouldn't it
one.
essentially be like a bridge version of like the red line?
Yep, pretty much. But like
I didn't think it
a
was supposed to connect to itself. I thought it was supposed to connect to like different islands, no? I mean, I do now that I think about it, I do know that it's kind of very linear. So I get like
I think it connects various islands, but essentially it comes back on itself.
mhm.
So like, you make this bridge to connect each island, you connect, and at some point you come back to the start.
Mhm.
And I mean, it could be essentially the commoner's red line. Because
I
from what
like
we've
that.
known, the red line is always like dominated by some form of god, whether it
Yeah.
be Lunarians in the past, celestial dragons now, someone
The
with some kind
the
of
the
substantial
the, the
power.
big dog of the era.
Exactly. They kind of keep that red line in check.
Yeah.
So Tequila Wolf seems like the more commoner route.
But what is like what's the point? Do you think it's for like maybe it's something as mundane as transportation purposes, right? Because we're seeing right now with Mary Joie having the siege right now. They're not able to get in or out food. So maybe like it's a purpose is to make sure that during the next flooding that there's still means of transportation, but why not just use boats? Like what does the world government want to get out of this?
It honestly feels like less of a plan for a flood than it does for a plan. Because you would think,
Yeah.
you know, to some degree, if you plan on all these islands flooding,
What's the point of
why are
connecting
you
them?
why are you building a bridge?
Yeah.
Because I mean the bridge is gonna be underwater too.
Also on
So it
yeah, sorry, continue.
I was gonna say it just feels like it goes against the idea of them wanting to plan for a giant flood, in my opinion.
Exactly. And Tequila Wolf is a prison, correct?
It's well, it's basically being created by slaves.
Yeah.
So so basically it's all slave labor.
And so like here's my thing. This I'm reading it right now. The bridge has been under construction for the past 700 years. Why not get like some with the like Pika Pika. Sorry, not Pika. That's not that's the white devil fruit. I was thinking about Pika. Whatever his devil fruit is, like
Oh, his assimilation fruit,
yeah,
this control, yeah.
or so like why is this being built by like regular ass people?
That's a really good
This
question.
giant
I
ass bridge. We've seen people with like OP devil fruits able to like create like massive structures. Why does this have to be like perfectly like man made?
I I honestly think it's got something to do with how Zunisha was given a punishment. This
Mm.
feels like a punishment. This
Mm.
feels like someone was like, I want you to build this bridge. I don't care what it does. I want you to build this
It needs
bridge.
it needs to be done.
Exactly.
Like I'm looking at it right now and like it's fairly above sea level, but like the way they're talking, I don't see how this doesn't get overtaken eventually also.
Yeah, like I wouldn't say that it's like
And are we
I mean,
gonna
I guess
build
I don't have
are
the
we gonna build
perspective.
on top of the world? Are we gonna have like floating like man-made islands? Like if we're Emu, what is his goal? Just to live for eternity? Just to be in charge? What's the point of being in charge when you have nothing to be in charge of? And then you have the celestial dragons, right? And it's like, if there are no slaves, you guys are first in line to be the new slaves. No,
Pretty much. I mean, that or you just die out because you don't know how to do anything.
I just, for the life of
I
me, cannot conceive of Emu's plan, and it bothers me profusely that once again, if it's not him, we throw it all out. But if we're to assume what Vegapunk was talking about was Emu, like in terms of like I don't know I'm to say what's good or evil. I have been racking my brain to think, okay, let's recontextualize Emu. I I love a misguided villain. So I'm trying to figure out what's the misguidance. Why does he think what he's doing is necessary? And that's the thing I can't put my finger on.
Yeah, that's what confuses me a lot too, because we have this idea that emo is basically wiping out threats to the world order they're trying to create. So, for example, the Nefertari family, they have information that could be a detriment to the world, so they're trying to wipe them out.
Yeah,
But in a sense, that would mean you're kind of on the side of wanting the world to sink because you don't want that information to spread.
that's my point. You want this would be beneficial.
But yeah, if the world sinks, what world do you have?
Like, why are you so adamant? Why are they so anal about like protection of information? It's nonsensical. Maybe they don't. Maybe it's like like a Ragnarok, cataclysm type situation where if the populace freaks out, it's gonna be overall bad for everyone. Because I guess if you're gonna die, why would you pay celestial tributes, right? And like all manner of other stuff. Why would you listen? Why would you obey? You probably just like while out. So maybe there's like this idea of some level of control, but other than that, like what is it? And like, is it necessary to wipe? Did the reason they wiped out Lulusia because like the flames of rebellion were getting too high there, or did it just sound like, hey, it's Friday on every it's our 10-year anniversary on Friday. We have to do our every 10-year destruction
Island
of
wipe.
Island White because we know about the the Celestial Dragons hosted every 14 years like a hunt, right? And my
On
thing is like
God
maybe
Valley.
yeah. Well, God Valley was the location this time. This time. But this is something that they do all the time. And so like that's the next question, right? Like why do they have these things? Is it just for shits and giggles and cruelness? Or is there some kind of population control going on? Because one of my favorite series of all time is the series called Gurren Lagann. And
Ooh.
one of the things with that is the bad guys weren't really bad. It was a situation where if there were too many humans around, it would bring about the destruction of the entire universe. The entire universe. And so in order to prevent that, they had to kind of be the bad guys and kind of had to put a rein on, you know, the human population. And I'm wondering if if humans are allowed to have free will, if humans are allowed to just, do whatever they want, have unlimited freedom, if there is some kind of threat to humanity that would come of that.
I mean, one of my things is I wonder if maybe because even the Gorosei right now, they don't know what Vegapunk is about to say,
Yeah.
or like they're completely in the dark on what's going on. Does Emu know? Because what if there's a possibility that they don't have all the pieces like we think they do? What if they don't know the exact direction the world is headed?
Mm.
Because I mean, think about it. They've been eradicating anybody who studies this.
Yeah, they're not infallible. Like you knew the moment they weren't infallible when they were panicking and thinking about like, do we have to get rid of Vegapunk? Can we use York? Because like Saturn apparently is probably good, is the smartest out of all the Gorosei, and it seems like he not only is unable to make a mother flame himself, but he was susceptible to being manipulated. Like he straight up said, if you change anything on Kuma, I will know. And then that was a lie.
I mean, I have my opinions on Saturn's level of knowledge. I think
I
I
mean,
actually
I
think
know we're
he's
talking
about
about
that.
the drowning, but I don't mind if you want to take a quick like you want to
Well,
go
just
in
because
on.
as far as like the way the Gorosei work,
Uh huh.
I think Saturn just seems very, very cocky and everything,
Mm-hmm.
very surefire about not only their power but their knowledge and control.
Mm-hmm.
And from what we've seen in Egghead, he's wrong on all those fronts.
Yes.
Like they don't know everything, they
Nope.
don't control everything,
Nope.
and they're not the strongest.
Nope.
So he's constantly being defied. I think, and just seeing how scattered they are right now, like how Vegapunk pulled such a huge one over on them, and they can't stop it.
They're panicking, dude.
They're
They're
freaking out
fucking
with
panicking.
all their
And it's
power.
fucking hilarious. Because can you imagine calling someone an ant, calling someone a peon, and they are fucking your whole shit up?
Exactly, like
Like how
you
you let
said,
how you
like you're
letting
smarter than him,
yeah, how you
and then
letting
like,
ants do this? How are ants doing this?
and then
They're
bro's just
ants,
like
right?
live streaming on you.
Yes, live streaming your ass whooping. Live stream, bro.
And you can't stop it.
You're literally caught in 4K. You're literally caught in 4K.
Nothing you
Like,
can do about it. It's insane. Like, what it, I don't know. Various steps, even with like Luffy in Gear 5,
yes.
they've been trying to, not only did they fail to kind of like get their hands on the Nika Nika, but they also failed to cover it up.
Mm-hmm.
Like how do you have so little control that those kind of mistakes get out and you can't stop them?
Facts.
Like there's
Facts.
just there's so many like
It's
open
so
spots where I
it's
feel like they're not fully caught up to what's going on.
I can completely agree with that. One thing I've noticed about One Piece from the jump, it's been an illusion of power, and that's why now controlling of information is just so vast and so important. Because they live on islands and they don't have readily available, like as far as we've seen, people aren't making super long distance den mushy calls, and if they are, it's like on special government den mushies that are meant to like do are that are meant to do that, right? And so like if you can control the dissemination of information, you can control what people believe, who people think are threats, who you think they're who are protecting them and who's not. And that's what I always loved about One Piece from the beginning was because Luffy, the like who Luffy is told by people from like the world government's perspective, and then as they meet him they're like, oh, you're not like that. And Luffy is a big person that's like, you make the decision for yourself, you decide for yourself. And so it's just a matter of what is this information that they do not want to get out. And it kind of ties into the whole like thing with Juri Bani's power, because that's what we're taught at a young age, that like the sky is the limit, right? And that we can do anything. And so I love how they tie that in with her power, because it's like when she was trying to do the Nika powers before, but her like faith was faltering, it wasn't working because she had doubts. Because uh realism is the death of like imagination, right? Like limit, like it's
Hmm.
like limits are the death of imagination. Like when you're told you can't do something, when you're told you can't fly, when you're told it's not possible for you, you start to like believe it. It's like it reminds me of like the movie Wanted, where like what if you were never told that like you couldn't curve the bullet, and now like what you've been told is possible is what you believe is possible. And so I think Oda wants to do a whole giant grandiose play on that.
I mean that is what he's building for. Like for one, I don't the the concepts of Bonnie's fruit power in particular baffle me
Nutty.
because what were they trying to do, and why how did that slip through their hands?
Yep.
Like you gave someone the power of imagination.
Essentially.
That's her power.
Essentially.
And you were just like, all right, well, she's gone now.
Yep.
Can't recreate that. Like what I don't there's so much to that itself. And I mean that's one of the big reasons why I think devil fruits have been like man-made entities is that they keep trying to recreate this perfect power and they keep failing.
Bro, I'm so angry because I was really hoping like when Vegapunk was like telling us what it was like like that after that chapter where we were like their desire. I was hoping the following chapter would be like exposition on that, and it was like no,
It's just
that
nothing.
yeah, it's just desire. There, that's what you get. I'm like, I mean
Uh,
that's cool, but like, so like, do they spawn? Do like
yeah,
do you drop imagination juice on like a like I don't like like what's
so
going
like
on?
I
Yeah, go ahead.
read that and I was like, I know you're the smartest man in this series. I don't agree with you though.
I don't agree. That's what I'm
I'm
saying.
gonna,
Like, also, I'm curious. Do you think that how Vegapunk made his satellites is stolen technology, or he ripped off whatever Emu possibly did with the? Do you think the Gorosei are individuals that like got that position, or do you think it's a once again because Oda loves his his you know his juxtapositions, his subversions, his like microcosms. Do you think that the reason that like we learned about the satellites in the first place is to just find out later that like the Gorosei are Emu satellites?
oh yeah, I think that they're exact mirrors. I literally think that all of the Gorosei are essentially whatever like the the shadowy inky power is. I think that's Emu's power, and
But not
essentially Emu
but adult fruit
created.
or no? A personal ability or adult fruit ability?
I'm saying devil fruit. I'm saying this is the pinnacle of the devil fruits they've been able to create. This is like the top of the top
Mm-hmm.
because essentially you have five immortal, top tiers that pretty much can do whatever they want whenever they want. You can't kill them. They have crazy powers that we can't explain. Like they just and they the teleportation thing I think is the most interesting part of it because that's never really been like if you're going to teleport, that is your Delver power is to teleport. They have zone abilities, they have teleportation, they have insane levels of hockey. Like it's like all their stats are maxed out pretty much.
So I have a little bit of an issue with that just because it kind of seems like the Delphroots themselves are power scaling. If the Gorosei, if what they do have is Delphroots, it seems like a power scaling thing. Because I did enjoy that the higher echelon Delphroots could copy the powers of other Delphroots. Like, off the top of my head, like Law being able to copy like Corzones by like he doesn't have that ability, but using his ability, he can like fake it or make a version of it. We've seen
Yeah.
that with like numerous elf fruits where they can like emulate the abilities of others. And so, like, yeah, just like you said with the zone fruit abilities, like this is kind of how it feels like when we first ran into like Marco, for example, but on crack.
Yeah, because Marco was a weird one
Yeah,
because
when we
he
first
was an
met
ancient,
Marco, like I'm like, wait, what? Like he's a zone, but like the bullets went through him. Like, wait, what's going on?
like Logia someone like
Yeah,
what?
yeah. And he has
And
like
I
a
think
and he has random like healing powers. So like
just a weird cacophony of really special. I mean, same with Kaidos. He's a fish fruit, but turns into a dragon. It's like, what? Okay,
okay,
how does that track?
and I think like there's just more than meets the eye with that kind of thing because everyone thinks this is a joke, and I've said this for decades. I said I don't play around with Oda's jokes because you fuck around and then like it's like plot now.
Yeah,
and
he does
like
that a lot. He does that a lot.
and and like it's really funny and then it's plot. And I was like a couple things that people like still joke about that like I to this day have always taken seriously are stuff like when Kaku was like shortening his like legs and turned into a box. Um
Pasta machine.
when what's his name? What's the Triceratops dude?
Sasaki.
Suzak when he was able to like fly with his
His
frills.
fin. Yeah.
When Queen was able to like eject himself from his body and make a snake. Like I genuinely think that those are not abilities of their devil fruit, but they believed it strong enough that they were just able to do it. And I think at some level, every single devil fruit has Luffy's ability in terms of like if they believe it enough, they can like do certain things. They just have to like bullshit how it relates to their Delphi. Like how like kind of how we saw like stuff with like Doflamingo and like like all the ways he could use strength.
Oh yeah, that's one of the prime examples of
Yeah, yeah,
a devil fruit not making sense.
exactly. Law is I think the prime one, the super prime
Well,
one.
the only reason I don't call loss is because the description of Law's devil fruit is that it's made to be overpowered. It's made to do all the things it shouldn't be able to do.
Wait,
Like
what was this? What was that in the description? What do you mean that's the description of the
it's
devil
the OP no me. It's OP.
for operation? Oper
It's in the name.
it's in the name. But
I
yes,
mean, that's the idea about devil fruits is that the from the beginning the upper echelon of it has always been controlled by creativity.
Mhm.
That's honestly the only limitation you have on a devil fruit
Yes,
is how creative you are.
yes,
And he has like I think Crocodile at some point says it, Doflamingo at some point says it. Basically, your your fruit is only as good as you are.
yeah,
So like these people, Sasaki thinking about his frills, even I think King and his whole pulling his head back to
yeah.
create a laser beam. He was also like, yeah, this is what they used to do, so I
Wait,
can do it.
was it a laser beam he made? I thought he just like kind of like a
It
sling.
was like a,
I thought he slingshotted something.
I don't really get it. It was like,
None of us did. None of us did.
so I feel like he shot his face, but like
Yeah,
a
it's
visual
like what actually
representation of
happened.
his face.
What
I,
actually
I
happened? I'm with it. I'm with it. Keep going. I'm with it though.
he shot something
Yeah,
that normal pterodons couldn't do, but because he believed it, he
yeah,
could do it. And I mean, like Kaku, basically he all everything Kaku did was just stuff he created on the spot
yeah.
because he had no idea what he was doing.
He had no idea,
So
and he didn't know. And I thought it was hilarious. Like that's what made it great. He didn't have information on. I don't think he knows what giraffes are and what they do.
it was just basically random. He had because he didn't have any idea like beforehand,
And that's
and
what
like
made it. That's
he
what made it stronger. If he actually knew any information about giraffes, he would have been cooked. I mean, he got cooked anyway, but like you get my, he would been cooked sooner.
yeah, because if you go into it with the mindset of like, oh, I have the limitations of a giraffe,
Yeah,
then yeah, you're screwed because you're just gonna be a giraffe. But he went to it like, no, I can do this because I'm a giraffe. I can do this because I'm a giraffe. Like I
yeah.
can turn my neck 90 degrees. I can form into a box and shoot lasers from my hands because I'm a
Yep,
giraffe.
yep.
And he did it.
This is how giraffe do it.
And like it's just, and I think essentially like Luffy and Bonnie's root to a degree are the maximum examples of that.
Yeah,
They are the embodiment of
yeah,
that idea. And then all the other fruits are more or less they have themes to them with
yes.
that built in.
I've said that. I like the term theme. I say that. I say as long as you can create an application of your power that is in the wheelhouse of the theme of your devil fruit, then like
Then you're good.
yeah.
Like one of the
Yeah, go
Buggy being able to fly, I
ahead.
think is slept on as like a power.
Yes.
Because his power is to separate himself.
Yes.
He figured out that, if I separate myself into the air, I can just stay there.
Because when I move my because when my limbs get cut and separated, they stay in the
They
air.
float.
So if I cut my limb from my foot, then my whole body minus my foot stays in the air, which was I'm not gonna lie, something I was really upset about in the live action that his like feet were flying to.
Were they? I didn't even notice that.
Oh, really? Yeah, that pissed me off. Um, I'm one of I get nitpicky and anal about stuff. Like I'm someone like I hate how like in like the Miles Morales Spider Man he can stick to wall wearing shoes. I'm a huge Spider Man fan, and I read comics and like that's not a thing. Cause like The electromagnetic force or whatever that allows him to stick to things, it can't go through thick soles. And this man's wearing Jordans.
Oh, you know, I never really thought about that.
Yeah.
I always thought that he had the similar the the retractable kind of like feelers through his
Okay.
skin that
So
poke through
fun.
things.
So I know this is supposed to be One Piece, but I'm anime right behind manga. I am like a huge Spider-Man comic fan. So like it's like One Piece and Spider-Man for me, like up there. And so the feeler things everyone got from the what's it called movie? The web. What's that dude's name? Who made the first ones? The first trilogy.
Uh, Sam Raimi,
Yeah, the Raimi
the
movie.
original Toby
That
Maguire
was
ones.
that was that. But actually it's this weird electromagnetic like force that he has that allows him to stick the walls. It's really weird. He and he can also like think about it. So when he wants to stick, he can stick. When he doesn't want to stick, he can stick. Also, in a different universe, he has a daughter, Mayday Parker, and not only can she stick to walls like her dad, but she has the ability to invert the static coefficient cohesion force or whatever, and not only stick to things but repel things. So she can like I can stick like she can blast this phone at you. Like she can make it stick to
So
her and then like
she's
shoot it at you.
like mini Magneto powers.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. There's some kind of force between their hand and what objects. And through something relatively thin, it's fine. Through thick sole, they can do it in like I wasn't really mad with Gwen because she has those ballerina shoes. Those would meet the quota.
Yeah,
But like
like
not like
Jordans.
not Jordan, not fucking Jordan. And you'll always see in like the old Spider-Man comics, if Peter was climbing a wall with shoes on, he's purely because he's strong, using his hands, and like you'll see his like feet pushing, but they're not sticking; they're just like crawling on the when he has shoes on.
Oh,
So
so he just hold himself up. Every time
yeah,
I learn about Spider-Man, he just gets more broken.
that's
That
my guy, man. That's my
just every
guy.
time.
But I forget where we originally segued.
Uh, we were talking about I think just the overall weirdness and abilities of
Yes.
devil fruits and how they kind of create their own powers.
Yeah, I'm also another thing I was upset about was like I was really hoping like with the Devil Fruit explanations, we were gonna finally find out about the goddamn like um Zoan like the weapons, like how like weapons can eat Devil Fruits. Still
Oh yeah.
like Big Bug's dead now. I was hoping to get that information like
I kind of just assumed that was like in hand of what uh Vegapunk was saying with essentially green blood is the refined version of it.
mhm.
Basically they're taking the essence of the devil fruit and they're applying it to an item. So
But
like
like
they found a way to extract the what gives the devil fruit its power and apply it somewhere else.
oh okay.
'Cause, I
But
mean
then
the Lunarians are essentially cyborgs. Like they're entirely man-made if they
wait,
have devil fruits.
Lunarians or the passive or the Seraphim?
The Seraphim Lunarians. So
Okay.
basically they're recreations.
Yeah.
Those are completely
But
man-made
like
and yet they
that, but
have
that's
complete devil
different
fruit.
for me though, because the Seraphim are like flesh and blood. Like, I mean, they might have some cybernetics, but they're blood based. They're
Uh,
flesh based. They're based off DNA of the and organs grown.
Are they? I thought
Yeah,
they were
you thought they were
I
like
kind of thought it was like a mishmash of basically they're taking because they said that they were created from the lineage factor,
yeah,
not necessarily like the
but I figured like that's the whole. They're so we learned the whole reason we learned about the clones is because the next step from the cloning was like the cloning and DNA modification. So they like cloned all like Boa, Mihawk, all these people, and then on top of that, fucked with their lineage factor, and then maybe on top of that, he might have added cybernetics or something. I don't know if he added I'm adding the cybernetics thing, but like I think he just spliced. I think it's purely like mad science, weird science, splicing DNA type shit. But I'm positive that like they're that not only are they, I think they are human, and that the only deviation where they might be a little bit like cyborgy is whatever experiment Judge did on the Germa might also be like part of that too. That would,
Oh, I
yeah.
see.
So because
That's interesting.
Vegapunk at the end of the day is better than all the scientists. So like all the scientists we know of, from Caesar to Judge and all now, are just like if Vegapunk is Jordan, they're all like his kids, or like they all develop different aspects of his game. Like one person might have Jordan's shooting, one might have Jordan's athleticism, and so like I think that's why we learned about them first, and so we learn about their specialties, and like what's the name has the cloning specialty, and what's the name has this specialty, and then now Vegapunk, who's like the goat, like for
Basically has
him,
all of it.
he has all of it, and that's what he used to make the seraphim.
Oh, you have a point there. I would wonder, did he drain their blood and replace it with green blood?
Um, he either drained their blood and replaced it with green blood, or that was part of the gene splicing, so that it like the green blood in there, because all the green blood in them is not all the same. The green
That's
blood they
true.
have pertains to both their
It's
lineage
very
factor
specific.
spliced with whatever what's
Whatever
it called,
fruit power they have,
whatever fruit power. And some I would assume are easier than others. Like Boa Hancock's was probably super easy because yet you
they just give
gave,
her the same power.
yeah. But like for someone like Jimbei, that might have been more difficult because you have to like take this thing and like fit it in, which means that in some way, shape, or form, when you eat a devil fruit, somehow it fucks with your lineage factor and DNA. And he found out how to do that. One thing I was curious about though, since we're talking about it, is I think it's weird how when they experimented on Jory Bonnie and gave her the uh the age fruit abilities, it got lost from the was it, is it the fruit or so whatever else had it, but for the seraphim, two people can exist with the same power.
Well, we know that Vegapunk was able to perfectly recreate a devil fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Like he, at least when it comes to Zoan and Paramecia.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only one he said he can't do is Logia right now.
Uh-huh.
So he's able to recreate them without, I guess, the coincidence of two existing at the one time.
I
Because
mean,
we have
Mo-
Kaido's fruit.
Momo and Kaido.
Yeah.
But my thing is
Would
like, why wouldn't, like, I feel like they should know more when it comes to devil fruits. I feel like the Gorosei and Emu should know more, and so for whatever experiments they were doing, for them, for that one to seem shittier seems like weird to me, because
I honestly don't think
it
they know
doesn't seem
more.
like they can it doesn't seem like they can give Bonnie's power to anyone else.
Yeah, I think they have like a general idea. I think they're more on like Judge's level
Mm-hmm.
of knowing how the lineage factor works. And the reason that they have Vegapunk is that he knows exactly how that stuff works and he knows how to put it into play. They don't have that knowledge, and I think they know he's not going to give them that knowledge, which is why they've kept him around for so long.
Exactly.
But
Okay.
I don't think they know. I mean, one of the things they talked about as far as like the Buster Call and stuff is that there's actually a lot of stuff on this island that they want to keep. So I mean, I don't know why they're Buster calling it, but
It doesn't make
they want it.
sense.
They want to keep the Mother Flame. They want to keep the research. They want to keep like some of the automations. Like they want the stuff on this island,
Mm-hmm.
and they still want a Vegapunk. They just want one that listens to them
Yeah.
because they don't have they don't have the facilities. They don't have the knowledge. They don't have like the ability to do what he does. So like that's one of the other things about Saturn is that he purports more than he knows. And I think that's a reoccurring theme with the world government and Navy in general is that they purport more than they know. You know, they talk a big game, but then they
That makes sense.
end up getting
I've
revealed.
always felt that way about the world government. I always felt the end all be all is Emu, and I wouldn't be surprised now that you speak about this is if we get to the end and Emu was also doing that as well.
And I mean, even for Emo, it seems like Emo was more like prophecy based.
Mm-hmm.
Like Emo doesn't seem as interested in exactly the specific logical workings of the world. It's like I Emu feels more like I had a vision that this would happen, or I have a vision of this happening. We got
Mm.
to make that happen. You guys work for me. You
Yo,
make it happen.
that's crazy. And like I'm thinking about it, like not even just metaphorical. What if it's like literal? What if he does? What if like he obviously probably has phenomenal hockey. What if he has some shit that's comparable to like Madame Charlie, and like can see like
Oh,
bits of the like future and like prophecies and actual visions
that would make sense
that have influenced his decisions.
because that I think that kind of plays into like the whole great cleansing thing, where if if Emu has a vision on something, basically he's like, all right, I've created these five underlings to make sure whatever I see either works out or doesn't work out. If I want it to work, they go ensure it works. If I don't, they go ensure that too. That's kind of that's their reason for existing, is to make these whatever I'm seeing come to fruition.
I just thought of like one way, like one thing that would be really, really, really bad for Emu and the world government is okay. What makes Emu so and the world government so hard to overthrow?
Uh, I I don't think they're that hard to overthrow, to be honest.
They
But
are
what you got?
for one specific reason.
What you got?
They're at the
The
top
the
of the
high
world.
up?
Yeah, they're high up. It's really hard to get up there. Like we don't. There's like not a lot of things that exist that would allow you. Like that's why they're doing a siege right now because they can't just like get up there and like send armies up there. And so what happens? Water levels rise. Everyone all aboard the Noah. We're going to visit Pangea. That could be crazy.
So here's my thing on that though,
Mm-hmm.
especially because of devil fruits in particular. You get a Kaido, you get a Big Mom. Both have outstanding abilities at base, but also have the ability of flight.
Yeah.
The height of the red line means nothing to them. And then you get someone like Whitebeard, or in this case Blackbeard. Earthquakes. He can shatter whatever he wants in this world. We've been told that time and time again. He has the power to destroy the world.
Mm-hmm.
We, I think, in a way, those particular Yonko were set to kind of oppose what is, the world government and that high stature, because
I
they all have abilities that can directly counter that.
I hear you. I completely hear you. My issue is several things. One with the what Whitebeard destroying the whole world thing. I'm one of the people I like to prescribe to the theory that that was less literal and more in terms of like he can set forth a bunch of chain reactions that result in like the destruction of the world and less like the world actually breaking and more like everything on it getting like destroyed. And then with Big Mom and Kaido being able to fly, I feel like there is. Do you think there's like a height limit or something? Because the reason I ask this is because I think Oda intentionally, and I could just be reading into it, but I think Oda intentionally made a point to show that like Kuma couldn't just like paw himself to the top of the red line. Now maybe it was just a matter of he was weak, but I don't know. It seemed like there was something to that. What do
Well,
you
I
think?
think Kuma's ability in particular is very similar to Kizaru's, where Kizaru, when he's traveling, he has to go in a straight line. So, he can't just go straight up. He has to angle directly where he wants to go.
Mm-hmm.
The same with Kuma. When he uses his ability to push something, it goes in one direction.
So
So no,
it's linear. He can't like make it go up
yeah,
and okay. That makes
because we
I also thought that as well.
because we see it with when Luffy's traveling. He's in a boat for 3 days, 3 nights, and he kind of just moves in a straight line, and whatever's in front of him either
Mm.
gets blown away or stops him.
Mm-hmm.
So like he blasts through Sea Kings. He'll blast through a small like little hill if it's there, but essentially it'll stop somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So with Kuma, he smashed into this giant mountain of a red line. That's kind of where the trip ends.
Okay. So interesting. All right.
I, I would wonder about a height requirement though, because I feel like to some degree, I mean, I don't know. And Ellsworth,
I think Oda originally, that's why the whole, you remember like one of the biggest, like, I don't want to say plot holes, one of the biggest like controversies was like there are only 5 flying devil fruits or something like that.
oh yeah, I remember.
Now
There are
in
only five little fruits that can give flight.
now in hindsight, I think the reason Oda originally did that was for this purpose, because then like there would be too many people that could like just fly up there.
I wonder where did we get that knowledge from?
What do you mean?
Did Pell tell us that, or was it like told to us in a very specific way? Because if Pell said it,
I think Pell said it because he was introduced and we were told. Um, Pell mentioned back when he first used his powers that his was one of only 5 devil fruits that granted the ability to fly. Now, to be fair, that's super easy to rectify. That nigga just didn't know.
I'll say Pell could just be an idiot. He could
Yeah,
really just not know anything.
yeah, like he's just been in Alabama his whole life. Like how would he
Yeah,
know?
like
Like
he could have only seen five and was like, oh, that's
or
it.
like or maybe Alabasta has like books in the library and whatever book in the library is out is volume 1 or 2 and like only like
That's possible.
so
Yeah, he could just have misinformation.
that's an easy cop out like but like but I do think that like not, once again just retrospectively looking at the entire series like I think it's reasonable to like you could say that like maybe that part of the reason Oda didn't want so many flying things was because that was that would make it too easy for people to like scale the grand line sorry the red line and stuff like that. Now when you earlier when you were talking about like Whitebeard can destroy anything, do you think were you applying that to like the red line also?
Yes, I think for sure.
Interesting. Maybe it like maybe infused with hockey, but like I get this feeling that like that red line is going to be like the birdcage and like Onigashima on crack.
Interesting. I can't figure out the
Like
birdcage for the life of me.
just all I'm
But
saying is you've had all these island whales going at it forever. I'm sure other people in the past have tried at it. I remember Dory and Broggy. We're seeing Dory and Broggy were able to like cut and harm. Not I don't know harm. Let's not be like super like with my use of the word harm, but like they were able to like do damage to the Gorosei. And they said that the only thing that they cannot cut is the Jormungandr, which is I mean, I'm assuming this. I think we can all safely say Jormungandr is the red line, the red snake, and even they can't do it.
I mean,
And they have the move that fucking Kaido and Big Mom used, which once again really pissed off. Where the fuck did they learn that? Give us like all these like things Oda does, these little like drops of just like
well,
ah.
I think that was literally just Kaido using a move and Big Mom using a move together. Big Mom knows like the Giants move set.
But they use that's a giant move.
Yeah, but big like you know how when they
It,
combine attacks and they take two names and put them together.
okay.
I think that's more what that was
Because
because it was like
they did Hokaku sovereignty, and Jordan Bragi was there's Ikaku.
I think so because one is like what ocean sovereignty and then the other one is what king sovereignty.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I literally think it's like a combination of their two moves.
So Ikaku means
Basically,
big nation, and Hakaku is like warrior nation.
Okay, and that would make sense if
And I would it makes sense that Big Mom knows that name, and if she also took in Kaido as her like little brother, she it would make sense that she like taught him that. Also, especially if she thought he was like a giant. Because I remember I told you this like a year ago or something, that like I originally had this theory that like Kaido was like ancient giant runt.
and then basically Big Mom took him in and
Yeah, because she felt a connection to him because she was like the op like a the like Kaido is an ancient giant runt, and she is like a human like giant. Uh,
maxed out.
like yeah, opposite direction. They're both out. They're both outcasts of their lineage,
Right, right.
just on
And
different.
yeah, because I guess she really could have just taught him. Because I mean, she gave him the fruit, and we
Yep.
know that they, as far as like the rocks go, it seems like they spent a decent amount of time together. So very possible that she could have just taught him that kind of stuff. Because we know Big Mom knows like all the giant moves.
Is there anything special about like? There's no way in hell that I feel like Blackbeard wouldn't know about the world flooding. So why is Hachinosu important to him? Because that bitch is gonna flood ASAP, and I don't think that there's anything. I'm looking at it right now. I don't think there's anything special about it, unless now that he has whatever that guy's name is, Avalo Pizarro. Maybe the island can like move or like he can have it. I don't know, but like
I don't think Blackbeard knows. 'Cause, I
really,
mean, look,
he seems to know everything.
look at the one thing he's doing. Like he's been doing it for the past couple of years, and that's collecting devil fruits.
Mm-hmm.
If the world floods, your entire team is screwed.
Fuck,
Your whole
fuck.
squad
But I
done.
feel like he has a contingency. He has to, because but I do love the popular fan theory that no one has ever drowned in the entirety of One Piece, and like the first person to go to Davy Jones' locker should be like Blackbeard in like a
Blackbeard.
fit of greed, trying to like get the One Piece or whatever, but drowns for it. And maybe Luffy is too, but unlike Blackbeard, his crew actually cares about him and has members that can swim.
And go in and save him. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's and I think Blackbeard in particular is a very a weird character because he at times he seems to be playing like 4D chess, and then other
Yes.
times he is failing at checkers.
Like
And I'm like, well,
everyone's favorite example is Magellan.
oh yeah, he gets his entire squad gets one shot by Mandela
Yeah, it could have been
easily,
over right there if he didn't
and
get
it's like
lucky.
that's one of the things that I dislike about Blackbeard is that he can be so meticulous with his plan, but then he just walks up to the strongest dude and is like, yeah, you like me now, and then he gets one shot. He did it to Magellan, he did it to Whitebeard. He walked up to Luffy, got punched in the face. He walked up to Law, got shock willed. Like he's so. I mean, it goes to show that Whitebeard was correct because Whitebeard says like your two weaknesses is that you rely on your fruit and you're incredibly overconfident,
Yeah,
and that's going to be your downfall. And it's his
yeah,
downfall every single time.
facts, absolute facts. And like, I like the character. Don't get me wrong, but one of the things I dislike about the character is outside of lore, he has never seemed strong.
Yeah, I still think he's. I mean,
Everyone like
he's not low tier,
in
but
every ranking, Blackbeard is always like top 5 or something. But I'm like I just don't see, like I think about like especially right now, I think about like Gear 5 Luffy and then Blackbeard. Like come on. But the
like I
cool thing about Blackbeard is at least he could fight Luffy because if Luffy touches him, that should get rid of his Gear 5 unless his like Toon Force and his imagination powers are just so strong that it'll like nah, you no.
I would hate that to be honest. That's where you that's Blackbeard's thing. Like
Yeah.
as far as like a character goes, that's his power is not the Gura. It's not the yeah, it's Kurozu. If he says Kurozu, you done. It's over. Wraps. If he can't use Kurozu, then what's he gonna do?
Yeah.
Punch Luffy with an earthquake? Like
So
I feel like he has the basest of base levels of hockey. He does not seem like a strong hockey user to me. So I don't see him as like a great fighter, to be honest. He gets lucky.
uh, I agree. So I'm really waiting to see. Like he did have kind of a good showing with like he gets randomly weird showings. Like he had the weird showing with I guess Ace, and then he it was kind of a little bit bad showing though because he was like hurt, but like it kind of got silly. But he ended up winning. He had a good showing with Law. He had a good showing with Riley when like Riley. I did not like this, but Riley was like, yeah, like maybe a while ago I could, but like I don't think I can like take him now. I was like, God damn it, Riley. Like even if it's true, I just wish you didn't say it.
Yeah, just keep it to yourself.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
it's his showings are like good and bad
it's
because like
so awkward because they're not like Luffy's, but like they both have like the same like win loss. Like they both like Luffy loses embarrassingly too, but it's like noble when he does it.
I mean, in a way, I think Luffy has. See, the thing about Blackbeard that I'll give him credit for
Mm-hmm.
is that he starts off losing every time.
Mm-hmm.
More often than not, he wins in the end. Like with Ace, he was struggling. He won in the end. With everything going with, like say Boa Hancock with Law, he always struggles in the beginning.
Technically,
And
Luffy
then
does too.
but then Luffy loses and that's just it.
Until he
he
like
doesn't win all the
until
time.
he eats it. No, but that's my point. That's what I was saying. Just how I was bitching about uh like Blackbeard getting hoed. Like Luffy gets hoed. I just like I prefer when Luffy gets hoed because like there's nobility to it.
But like Blackbeard always leaves with something.
Mhm.
Like when Luffy gets beat by Aokiji, that he still hasn't reached that level yet.
Yeah,
I still think Aokiji's taken him. But like that's just an L he has.
yeah,
Like he lost to Kaido like 4 times.
yep.
He had to get awakened
Crocodile
power
like
because
three
of that.
times.
Crocodile like 3 times. He luckily countered an L, or else he would
Yeah,
have lost that fight.
yep,
Like
yep. I
whereas Blackbeard, even if he doesn't win like the fight, he leaves with something. Right?
yep.
He left Amazon Lily with something. He left Law. He took the poneglyphs. Like he goes into a fight. When he went to Impel Down,
He
lost the
gets what he
fight.
yeah,
Got his crew. He gets what he wants. Like
yes,
that's the part that I really like about Blackbeard is that despite his flaws and like fighting and stuff, when he has a meticulous plan, it works. It just works.
yep. And I respect that. Like he's like one of the like few true pirates who like gets through with their like treachery and intelligence. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a nice angle to see in the series.
But him being like top is people be ranking him too high. People have him at like 1 right now.
That's what I'm
Um,
saying. That's what I'm saying. And like I get like lore base and like narrative base. Yes, it makes sense. Well, one is a little much. I wouldn't put him past three because
uh,
Emu is
3
my
might be too
one.
high.
Emu is my one right now. But like,
Ooh, interesting.
well, who's your one?
I still have Kaido top 1. Kaido's a monster.
Kaido.
Kaido is an absolute. If Kaido wants to fight you, you done.
But like I feel you, but like Emu, the last villain of the show is clearly going to be Emu or Blackbeard. I don't think Emu
That's
can be weaker than Kaido.
but that's the weird thing is that, and it's one of the things I like about One Piece is that strength and potency are a little bit different
You're saying it's.
because
I know the argument you're about. Yeah, I know what you're about. Yeah, go ahead.
like one thing people still stock up is that Shiryu is going to be the last swordsman villain we fight,
Really,
even after Mihawk,
really.
and
I don't see
that
it.
makes no sense to me.
I don't see it. He's more deceptive. His sword is like good, but like he's still like a little dickhead.
I mean, I think Shiryu's up. I think Blackbeard's entire like fighting crew is garbage, just
Damn,
absolute dog water. Burgess is trash.
damn.
Shiryu's trash.
I thought Burgess was all right, and I couldn't wait to see what's his name brings to the table. He seems so mysterious.
Lafayette.
Yeah.
I like the ones that don't fight. Lafayette. I like Katarina. Van Augur seems cool because he's
Van
like
Auger, like
he
I'm
does what
excited
he
for
needs to do
Lafitte
and
and
he
Van
gets out.
Auger. Those are the two I'm most excited for.
Yeah, but when it comes to like Sanjan Wolf, he got one shot by Garp. He was done. He got one shot by Aokiji. Shiryu hasn't done anything cool. He cut Moria.
He
Like,
cut
and
Garp, and it didn't even really like. All it did was like he couldn't even do that right.
it's like Garp jumped in the way of that.
Yeah, yeah,
You didn't even aim for Garp.
yeah,
Garp gave you that.
yeah.
Like Burgess, I don't think has ever taken a W in his life. I can't think of a time when Burgess has done something good in the story.
But
The one
I
thing
think
he
they're
managed
gonna
to do
scale
was
him
make
up.
it to Baltico.
They're gonna scale him up because you have to realize that like Blackbeard's crew's gonna have to fight Luffy's crew, and on Luffy's crew is like the likes of like Zoro, um, Zoro, Sanji, Jinbei. I'm fingers crossed that like Yamato has a Jinbei and Wano moment and like
I would like that.
comes
I would
back.
like that a lot.
But like so like obviously they're gonna have to scale up
But how high? Like Shiryu
as
is
high.
so
You
low.
know how
He
high.
has
Come
to.
on, you know how high they're gonna scale up to the straw, whatever the endgame straw hats are. You know this.
But doing what? Where is he at to where he gets to the level he is now, which is dog water, to being
Dog.
able to accurately contest Zoro or Mihawk? How
Um,
does that
I
happen?
think it's just going to happen.
It's
I
like
know that
his.
sounds like so awful. I hate how that sounds, but I think it's just like Oda chooses narrative over power scaling every time.
Yeah, it is. It
The
hurts me so
the
deep
sigh of like,
because
yeah,
that means like Burgess is going to be
yep, he will,
somebody's infight.
he will. But
It's probably
also,
going to
I
be
think
Frankie's.
I can see it. Also, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm gonna be real with you. I did not expect Frankie to be as strong as he was portrayed in the last chapter.
Oh, one shot and a vice admiral.
Yeah, I
Yes,
did not.
I am here for Frankie feats.
That's
I
part of my point. Like just Oda's gonna do it when it needs to be done. I suppose.
I mean that's fair. I I mean to be fair, I think Frankie kind of always had the potential. I never thought Frankie was
I
like a
never thought he
was
was
weak.
weak. Like
It's just
I thought the what's it called fight was on par with him. The Triceratops. I thought that was on par with him. That made sense.
and I think because we kind of had going into it, we had Sasuke as the strongest of the Toby Roppo. I think he was like number one as far as like because I think he even has like the highest bounty of them all.
Did
I mean
he?
personally, I have Ulti as the top because she's better than all of them, but I'm pretty sure he has the
Let-
highest
let's see. Let's
bounty of the Toby Roppo.
take a little looky loo. Darn, you're not gonna like give me a bounty list. Check the things visually.
They're not listed. Did he give it in the SBS? Is that where he dropped it?
Probably, but I'm sure there's like a post on here if I type in. All right, so this thing did a listing. It has page 1 6, Sasaki 5. We're not gonna like super listen. We're just gonna like go through what this they. It's game rant, so don't listen to them. X Drake, Black Maria, Alti second, Who's Who first. I do think Who's
Who's who? Ulti was second?
yeah.
Hold on. I mean, I
I
am
mean, this
okay
is
with that
some
narrative, but
BS. Like you can, I always tell people take things with a grain of salt. Like I'm the kind of person I don't like Death Battle because I think they've become so big that like you just take their word.
that's fair.
So
Let me
like
see
this is what
Sasuke.
these people said. It's not necessarily. I'm looking for bounties though. I'm just gonna have to
Based
do.
on
Yeah,
the wikis, Sasuke I think has the strongest with 5-7.
but
Uh, oh,
don't forget you can't like strength off bounties.
yeah, I'm just what I was saying was like Sasuke was purported to be like the
Hmm.
strongest. That's kind of like the idea we had
Yeah,
going into it. So it was at the time it was weird for Frankie to have that fight
yeah,
because everyone's like Frankie.
yep,
What?
yep.
I was like, yeah, let's go for it. And if
Let's
that
go.
wasn't
That's my
even
boy.
an incredibly hard fight for Frankie, I would say.
Hmm.
I don't think he was struggling all that much.
Honestly, I didn't realize it, but it was kind of gaggy, and he ends up not even truly beating him with Iron Shogun. It was base him.
Yeah, he shot a beam through his guys.
Yeah. And like I don't know, Oda's been doing this weird thing with Frankie where it's been a lot of like bells and whistles, but then like none of them really work. It's just his like base kit.
Just Frankie.
It's just his base kit. So like that is true.
I feel like I always have fun with the Frankie fight because like
Yeah.
even with Senior Pink, like there's a certain air about a Frankie fight that just it works really well,
Still want to know
and I feel
Ulti's
like
fucking parent.
I I need all of Ulti's information.
I need all of this information. So yeah, I think whoever did this ranked them by bounty minus ulti because ulti's bounty is lower than who's and Sasaki's.
Yeah, based on Wiki, she has a 4, so she's a little bit lower than
Yeah,
those
yeah,
two.
she's 400, and then Sasaki's 472, and then who is 546.
And I know Page One's lower than her.
Random question. I feel like I might have asked you this before, but I like to check. Do you have Sanjay above Jimei right now? Scaling?
Unfortunately,
It's it's so weird. I feel like normally I'm really good about not being like a head ass, but like I don't know why. I just like it's just weird. Sanji did get the better fight, but like Jinbei's fight was super easy, barely an inconvenience.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, I don't. One, I don't like either of those characters. I don't like Sanji or Jinbei.
You don't like
Jinbei is
Jinbei?
Jinbei is neutral.
Okay, that's how I
I
feel about Jinbei's cool to me, but like yeah, and
I'm
I don't
against him being in the
dislike
crew.
Sanji. My thing with Sanji is he's not Zoro, and I love Zoro.
I adamantly dislike Sanjay. The worst straw hat.
Oh no!
But I think
Oh
he is stronger than
no!
Jinbei at this time. Because he's got Germa hacks.
Yeah, I was getting really pissed off during the like altercations with the Seraphim, and people were like saying like trying to use that to like scale them, and I was like, eh.
I don't think it quite works out. Seraphim Jinbei is the swim fruit. That's a nasty combo.
Yo, that
That's
yeah,
disgusting.
it's a great like I love when I found that out, I was like, yo, that's actually clever. Like giving like a fish man like, and then he could use like merman karate with like
Anything.
that
Because
part was insane to me. That like not only could he swim, but he also could like you like because once again I think it goes back to like imagination because not only the concept is just supposed to be to swim through like solid like it is water. Not that it turns to water, but the way he
yeah.
uses the fruit, he uses it as if it is water. That is nutty.
And like the argument has always been like Jinbei underwater is a different beast.
Yeah.
The Seraphim is literally a Jinbei that's like
Under
technically underwater because he
all
can
the time.
just make everything water.
Yes.
It's like that was
And then
I was like whoever decided to
could
combine
not
that,
swim
jeez,
now. Ironically could not swim now.
cannot swim. But I wonder if there's some kind of loophole with that
with
because
with it in general or with S Shark.
with well specifically that fruit. Like I wonder if
Mm.
you can manipulate the water to act as stone would. Because I mean, we know that the water isn't immune to fruit. Aokiji still works.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's still susceptible to being affected
Manipulated
by
by
the
yeah.
fruit. So I wonder if you could create like the water he touches doesn't drain his ability. Because if so, that would be kind of OP, especially for like a world government weapon.
What if you
That'd
make
be nasty.
yourself like a rock suit and then like wet in the water and just manipulated the rock suit around you?
Oh,
Now we're getting convoluted, huh?
that's entirely plausible.
It's One Piece, man. If you can think it.
Then you can do it.
But Great idea, because I do like. I am very happy that Oda didn't take forever and did show us examples of fishmen, devil fruit users in water, and just basically they're just stuck. They could
Yeah.
live. They just can't move. That's interesting. But I also think it's weird they can't move because like I thought the whole thing was you can't swim, so why can't they walk?
Well,
San Juan,
the idea is that
and then
it
you have
trains your ability.
San Juan who can walk.
See, his doesn't make any
But to
sense
be fair, he's not submerged because I guess. Uh,
because it's supposed to be like if you're, it's like knee deep, ankle deep. That's when it just starts basically draining your energy.
mhm.
And I'm pretty sure he's like waist deep in water, but he's just unaffected by it. So however that works, maybe that'll make him viable to the crew.
Exactly.
But like as far as like Jack goes, I think if you're like a certain level underwater, you don't have the energy to move. So it's like even being a fisherman, he just doesn't have the energy to move around. You're basically like paralyzed.
Yeah. All right. We are. Let me see this timestamp. We are about almost 2 hours in, so let's try to wrap it up in about less than half an hour. Let's just finish off with. All right. All right. Quick recap. So I want to end this off with where do we go from here? With this knowledge, what does this mean? What does this change? What do we think happens now in the end game? But before we go to that, I just want to make sure, have we touched on every possible like any like clues we were given from the beginning, or we all right, so real quick, I forgot we didn't talk about this. Shanks's crew and Roger's crew, and how all of Shanks's crew not devil fruit users at all. And now we know that there's probably a reason for that now. Swimming is probably very important. Maybe the One Piece is underwater. Maybe that's why Shanks Shanks didn't go, but he probably heard about it, right?
That's
He didn't go to
I don't know about
Latville.
that.
He stayed back with Buggy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I guess the thing about the spirit of the adventure is that I don't think that Roger or anyone from the crew would just come back and be like, "Oh, hey, the One Piece is this. The Laugh Tale is
You
this."
don't think Shanks knows what the One Piece is?
I don't think so,
Oh.
because that ruins the idea of the journey for them, right? Because
Well,
they
I
said
thought that
they'll
the
go
only
on their
reason
own.
that they didn't take him were because they were. What was the reason they didn't go?
Buggy was sick,
Yeah, so
and so
like
Buggy couldn't go.
so technically like they were supposed to go. So it's not like they didn't want to go. They didn't want to see the One Piece.
Yeah, but you got to think. So think about how Luffy reacted when Usopp asked for it.
Ah,
Basically, it's the idea of you kind of ruin the adventure when you know it's there.
yeah.
So I mean,
But that's
if
so
Roger
weird
told
to
him
be
what was
on that
there,
crew though. So when they come back, just like no one's allowed to spoiler alerts everywhere.
honestly, I think so. Because, well, I mean, they came back and then they disbanded after what?
Immediately.
It was either like immediately or over the course of like a year. They basically
Yeah,
separated.
so during that year, like they weren't telling tale the entire time about like what they had been through.
I don't think so. I mean, no one knows about it, but the Roger Pirates. So they weren't telling anybody. They saw it and then just didn't talk about it.
Hmm.
Because I think well, for one,
Selves, but yeah.
if Roger had told, or if any of the crew had told them, it it makes no reason for them to go, I guess,
Okay.
because Roger knows.
But do you think
who's
he has an
supposed to go.
inkling at least? Because like, why would he not have any Delph users at all? Just because of what he said originally, that he just simply wants them to be able to swim, or what?
I mean, I think that might have more to do with him being in possible coups with the world government. He might be privy to some
Are you
information.
whoa? You said cahoots? Please don't tell me. Please don't tell me your shakes is a rat agenda.
I kind of
No! No!
because why is he doing the things he does? How did he just walk into the Coruscant room?
Why is he so nice to Luffy? Why is he protecting Luffy? Why is he loved by everyone? I don't know. I
Because like,
refuse. I thought that like I
see,
know a lot of people. I thought like yeah, that's a cool twist, but like nah.
well, I think it's I wouldn't necessarily say he's like completely on their side.
Uh huh.
I think he's playing a long game.
Mm-hmm.
I think he plays the winning side. So he's
Wow,
with the world government right now,
real rat.
but he's building up Luffy for something.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think in one way, we have to know that whoever goes to Lato, whoever finds this stuff, they have to be the one. Like it can't just be anybody. Which is why he hasn't gone for this whole time. He waited until Luffy was like ready to go. He was like, all right guys, pack up, let's go. It's time. I've been waiting for this.
I'm so mad. Everyone's saying that, and everyone's making fun of Mihawk too, because Mihawk was like, "I don't want to fight these three people."
But I mean, I kind of feel him.
Oh my, that's what I'm saying. It's just, but it's like the era of frauds. Like just because
Yeah.
people can't just
Fraud Hawk
be
is
people
strong.
can't be smart about things. No, everyone wants every character to be like Luffy, just run at things face first.
Yeah. And it's like Mihawk things, he just wants to chill. Man was like sitting on his island farming,
Bro, he doesn't.
reading the newspaper.
Every time we've seen Mihawk, it's him doing things he doesn't want to fucking do. He doesn't want
Yeah.
to be at. He doesn't want to be at the fucking at Marineford. He doesn't want to train Zoro. He doesn't want to like fight all like. He doesn't want this stuff. Like,
Basically, his story is he got too strong, they wouldn't leave him alone. So he was like, I gotta do something.
yes, exactly. So
And now he's just suffering the whole time.
I think Riley being a shipcoder purely intentional. Purely intentional. I can't say the same for Crocus. That just seems convenient to me. I just think it just. I don't think him converting Laboon had anything to do with anything besides just Laboon was hurting himself, and it was easier for him to make Laboon like habitable so that he could continue treatment on him all the time.
Interesting. I I kind of see it the other way
Okay.
because I feel like Crocus is planning for the flood,
See,
whereas
that's what everyone's saying, and I'm saying
yeah,
keep going. Sorry.
whereas Rayleigh is more or less prepping people to stop it. Rayleigh is guiding people on a journey, whereas Crocus is preparing for an end game.
Hmm. Okay, because I just kind of believed what Crocus told us, and that was the reason he did that was because Laboon was slamming his head into the thing, and he decided to stay with him forever, and it was just easier to like live inside him and treat him as his like live-in doctor, and like everything he
I
did
mean,
was more so for him than like
it,
end game stuff. The
it
reason,
could just be straight up.
and I think the reason that Riley is actually the one doing endgame stuff is what if he like needs to coat the Noah or have a team of people coat the Noah?
Mm. Why wouldn't they have coded it already?
Actually, yeah, the Noah was coated when they fought on it.
It was in a bubble of its own, being held there.
Yeah,
Uh, I I can imagine if it's
I wonder
coated.
if the Giants are able to coat.
Hmm. You would have we met like other coders besides I think what Rayleigh and Tom's cousin?
Uh, no, but I think that's just like a we just don't have time for that kind of thing. But like I'm sure there's a
See,
bunch of popular shipyards. I'm surprised we never hear mention of coding in like Water 7 though, even though like no one really goes underwater, but you would think like that just be like like how doctors have to know certain things, like shipwrights would have to like maybe just have like a little course in coding.
yeah, I guess it. I mean, to be fair, I don't know if it would make sense for them to code through Water 7 because
Hmm.
I don't think there's anywhere to go.
To dive. That's what I was saying.
Yeah,
Like I was figuring like, but like I was thinking like, would you not just teach us general knowledge?
I feel like that
But
would be useful to have.
yeah.
Like, I know of this. I can point you to a place where you want to get it done, but I
Also,
know of this and I can tell you.
do we know? I think I asked this earlier. Why the fishermen live on Fishman Island as opposed to like just being like free in the ocean?
Essentially, they wanted to live on the surface, and when they were forced off by, all the racist celestial dragons, they created Fisherman Island as a pseudo surface. And so like they have like the light pouring through to kind of create this this
Oh, that's
idea
why. No,
of their own land.
that's the answer you just said. Um, if they lived anywhere else in the ocean, it would be dark.
Yeah, the specific thing was they had one of the trees. It's the
Eve.
is it the Sabondi trees?
Yeah, the isn't it wait not Sunlight Eve?
Is it Sunlight Eve?
Yeah,
Okay,
it is
so
illuminated
Sunlight
by
Eve.
the Sunlight Tree Eve.
Okay, yeah, and that basically brings the sunlight down to where they're at. But I mean, I think the idea was that they're creating like their version of the surface world,
Mm-hmm.
since they couldn't live on the surface, or they were pushed from the surface.
But also, once again, I think just in the sea itself, it would just be like dark and like yeah,
It
we
would
can
be that dark.
like it would be like humans, like yeah, we can live outside, but like cold and like all the other problems. So like they still need like a environment and habitat.
Yeah, I
But
mean, like they
it
have.
does make me wonder if there's some kind of like nomadic fish man group that like does live in like the deep sea. Because even in our world, the deep sea is unexplored.
That would be interesting. I mean, we know some of them. Like they had a few colonies around Big Mom's territory,
Mm-hmm.
or like some of the fishmen. They lived underwater, but they just like lived natively in the water.
Ah, got you.
Like Praline, Aladdin, they just lived in the water. Like they didn't really have a specific setup besides just living there. But as far as like deep sea, that would be interesting. Like in the depths.
Because
Because
yeah,
you would imagine that there's probably some that are
and I would imagine they're stronger than the average fishman because like the water pressure is higher down there.
they got that 10 times gravity training. They yoke down
Exactly.
there.
Exactly. So many questions. So all right, we touched on I mean this is hard. I'm sure we're missing something, but we can't
Oh,
we're not perfect.
there's so much.
Is there so are we done with just any and all recontextualizations of just
I
things?
think we pretty much hit like a lot of them,
What
like
about
a lot of the
Alabasta?
major
The fact
ones.
that it's a desert. Let me look at the Alabasta map real quick. I wonder if that's going to be important because that they could use a flood. So,
Is Alabasta only a desert because of Crocodile, or did he
oh
just
wait a minute! I
inherit?
remember. There's a river. There was a fucking river in Alabasta. Oh, sorry. Oh, you said is it a desert because of crocodile? So it was always a desert, but it still had like water and stuff. But like it became super dry and arid because of crocodile.
Okay, so he just took it to the extreme.
Yes. There were still like oases. Like you remember the one place where what's his name's dad was.
Yeah, the little shovel man.
Yeah, like it used to be an oasis.
What was it Tonton?
Yeah. Um, but I can't remember it. The Sandora River. The Sandora River cuts Alabasta right down the middle from the north to the south, making travel around the country difficult. Once an important source of fresh water for the kingdom, the river's current gradually lost force along the years, allowing the sea to overtake a significant portion of it. So something that we weren't thinking about at all.
Huh.
So that's
Yeah.
another example of like, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to hit all these islands. Drum Island. Drum Island. Wait a minute, because all those weren't all of Drum Island a bunch of what is that like
Flat
Scylla?
mountains.
Yeah,
I think it still has like a native land base, but it also has those mountains on it, doesn't it?
it does, and I'm wondering like why a chain of drum-shaped mountains that tower over the kingdom. The tallest one is called Drum Rock. All right, let's check that out. The tallest rock is called Drum Rock, according to Dr. Kureha. The peak plateau of Drum Rock lies more than staggering 5,000 meters above sea level. And the castle was on Drum Rock, and it would make sense why Wapol's head ass would want to live there. Because, like, while everyone else drowns, he would be safe up there.
Did we talk about Dressrosa? I don't remember. I know we talked about it
We talked
in
about it
the pre-talk.
before stream, but we can talk about it
Yeah,
now.
because yeah, the basically the geology of Dressrosa also lends very much to trying to keep out water.
Mm-hmm.
The way I think it has like it has kind of like a smooth outer rim plus the giant rock formation that goes around it
Mm-hmm.
that basically makes it isolated.
It terrifies me though, because like it, even though it is slightly elevated, it doesn't look that much so, and also looks like it's just low enough that like water would get in, and high enough that it would create like a murder pool.
It looks like what they did with Wano. Where-
But like worse. But like, because like water was like super deep at least, so like it would have to fill up a while before it reached that next one. Just don't look that deep.
yeah, yeah.
Like it would get filled. That's why I said it was murder pool.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of cobbled rocks together.
Yeah, Wano definitely is like going to be one of the most important in terms of like how it was made, and like once again those barriers. Did the previous owner of whatever fruit Pika had, or the island fruit had, was that all just random man-made labor? Um,
You would think it was the work of a fruit. Because I mean those things are tall. They're about as
that's what
tall
I'm
as
saying. And
the
then
mountain
back to
itself.
the red line. How did the red line come to be? Was that like an ability? Was that, it has to be more than a fruit? Part of me wants to say it's infused with hockey. I truly want to say I believe that like I b- believe in my heart that like the red line has some kind of correlation to poneglyphs, and maybe the red ones.
Mm.
Because like poneglyphs, like they're one of their most known traits is their indestructibility. But at the same time, if they're indestructible, how are you able to carve in them in the first place? So like,
Do we know when the red line came to be?
let's find out.
Is that given information?
Let's find out. Let's find out. But as far as I'm concerned, I feel like it's one of those things in the lore of One Piece that's just always been there.
I don't see anything that specifically says it.
Nope. Nope. Like it's one of those fixtures that we're just supposed to kind of assume has been there, and we know that like the one of the eldest races that we know of, the Lunarians, were there first.
Because I would wonder if it predates Void Century. I also don't think we know how old the Lunarian race is.
No, Oda wants to keep his little secrets.
Well, actually, now that I think about it,
Mm-hmm.
it has to be Red Line has to have been during the Void Century, right? Because that's when they created Fishman Island in opposition to not being able to live up on the surface through the Red Line, and it's directly below the Red Line.
Okay. Also, remember what was there something like a legend or like instructions passed down the royal family in the
Uh,
royal
for
law?
for what? Stone carving?
I'm checking right. Princess Poseidon lived during the Void Century and made a pact with Joy Boy. She would use her power to command the Sea Rings to bring Noah to the surface and activate its intended mission, for which the details would be revealed when raised. However, Joy Boy failed in his commitment to Poseidon due to unknown reasons. So obviously, the intended mission was to get everyone on the surface on it.
But so why? I guess with that, because I've heard that before. Joy Boy specifically leaves an apology for the fishmen.
Yeah,
But if Noah's intended
for
purpose was
humans,
for humans, why would he be apologizing to the
it's
fishmen?
so confusing because I always thought like, why do the fishermen need Noah in the first place? And then I just kind of like Occam's razored it, and I was like, well, I guess it's the same reason we need like cars and like planes. Like we have like luggage and shit. So like,
Because Noah is it's like roughly the same size or like slightly bigger than Fishman Island, isn't it? Because when they were about to collide, they were like, "Yeah, Noah's going to destroy the entirety of Fishman
yeah,
Island." So I mean, it could house all of Fishman Island if needed, but I don't see a point in that either.
uh, I hate that like we're probably missing one small thing, like because this flooding thing was almost obvious too. Like I hate that's my biggest pet peeve, and not with Oda, but with like me, where like every time Oda reveals something, I'm mad because I'm like, I could have figured that out, but
Yeah, just
I couldn't though because I didn't.
I couldn't put these last two pieces together. You got me.
Like Jesus Christ, what did you say you thought those things in the Floridian Triangle were again?
Continent pullers.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like we have not gotten we got ores.
What if
We got
there's a
ores junior.
situation like fucking Impel Down, where like there's a secret location because over 100 ships disappear every year in the Florian Triangle and often found later without their crews. What if it's a situation where like it's like level 6.5 or what was it 5.5, where like they're being taken to like some secret like island or country?
That could be possible. Like the whatever unidentified things we saw there. If
Yeah,
they're taking people,
yeah,
that's definitely possible.
because the entire crew is gone. It's just the ships, and obviously you're gonna think like, oh, something bad happened to them. But what if something good happened to them?
There's With that there's gotta be something specific because they left Mori alone
Mm-hmm.
for
Maybe they knew that like not to fuck with him and that he would ruin their like paradise or like their Elysium or whatever.
but if your goal was to gather people,
Mm-hmm.
then this dude whose power specifically is good at building
Making
a large
army.
amount of people,
Yeah, you're right.
that would be like he is right, he's in front of your door. you could just pick him up and you would have like an infinite of whatever you're trying to do. But they leave him there. And we know that they're looking at him because we see them staring at like Thriller Bark, don't we? Like, isn't that kind of like the end of Thriller Bark? Because we literally see them looking at like Thriller Bark itself.
I'm looking at a picture right now, and like we see like a red thing, and they just look. Honestly, they kind of remind me of like Emu's like hat thing with eyes.
Oh, I see the picture of that. Yeah, they do remind me of Emu.
Oh my, we're missing something.
We're always missing something.
Oh my god! But it like in a world that revolves around ships, like a flood isn't the worst thing. So many people have ships. There's so many shipwrights.
Yeah, it's honestly a problem for normal people. But pirates are fine. Pirates are good.
But like, what if it creates worse versions of certain situations? Like we already know like places get like really bad weather. We already know places get really bad. Like we have like the calm belts and stuff, which I want to learn more about because I think that there is an unnatural force at work that makes it so that like this part of the sea is still, or maybe like underground there are a bunch of there are underground there are a bunch of sea kings that are doing something to like stop the flow of traffic in a certain area. Like I still have suspicions that Shanks has like a secret method of transversing the world. Originally, I thought that his sword was gonna be some kind of devil fruit sword that had like some kind of like either like weather devil fruit or um now that we know that I think only weapons can have Zoan ones. Maybe it's a mythical Zoan that like can control like the weather. Like I've been thinking like Griffin, kind of like the name, but like some kind of other animal that would allow him to use it. Because there were several times. There was the time in the movie with what's her name, Uta, where
Red.
where it looked like fire was coming from his sword, film Red, and then there was the moment in Wano where it looks like wind was coming from his sword, and maybe he was also using that wind to carry his voice to what's the Green Bull.
Yeah, yeah. I did. So, have we gotten 100% confirmation that none of Shanks's crew is adult fruit?
No,
Has that been confirmed? Okay.
no, I feel like it is a shared delusion of the fan base.
Because I've always prescribed to the idea that Lucky Roo has a either speed or enhanced movement type ability.
Okay.
That's what I've always considered gets Shanks around so fast. Is that it's actually Lucky Roo doing it just for him.
Interesting.
And I have like no basis for that outside of the fact that he kind of had the title of Otis said that he was the fastest character that he had created. I think in the early versions of the story.
Oh, okay. In the early versions, I was about to say,
Yeah,
because
in the early versions of the story.
can I just say, I know it's a little off topic. Kizaru, I had was the admiral I had the single most hype for, and I'm so disappointed because I was like, his powers are light. I was like, that's way better than magma.
Way better than that.
I was like, and like, I was thinking like they're gonna have, like, I thought like a big part of like the plot would be trying to figure out how to fight him because he moves so fast, and then it just ended up being like Sanji and Luffy just moved that fast too, and I was like, okay.
I mean, I knew it was Raps when they got to Egghead, and you're like, oh, look at these special light punching gloves. Huh? Wonder what these are used for.
I mean, to be
I was
fair,
like, oh,
we never got to use, we still haven't used them.
I still got. I mean, I honestly think that Sanji's boots are made of the same stuff
uh,
because I don't think Sanji's kicking light.
but like it's not.
Specifically,
But if he's using hockey, it doesn't matter.
eh.
Uh-huh.
Because you would, in that case, you would say that he would have to have the hockey to overcome Kizaru.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to have the hockey to overcome Hazar. You just need hockey to touch him.
I guess I'm assuming that Kizaru put hockey in his attacks.
Okay, yeah.
But if he's just launching normal light, maybe there's some credence. I also don't think Sanji's armament hockey is that strong,
Mm.
which is another problem. I think Sanji's go-to is observation,
Mm-hmm.
and his armament is good, but not kicking Kizaru Laser's level of good.
So my logic has always been like, I think Luffy is gonna have all S plus and everything. Um, Zoro is gonna have like um S and everything, S plus and maybe like armament, maybe possibly in Conquerors. And then Sanji also S and everything, but then S plus in observation, if that makes sense. So it's not a matter of like he's bad at armament, but like he's like his base is gonna be like great, and then in observation it's like goaded.
I guess with Sanji specifically,
Mm-hmm.
he just hasn't been given good armament hockey feats.
Okay.
At least not any that I can think of.
All his
To,
durability is, and the thing that sucks is all his durability is going to be attributed to like the cyborgness now.
yeah, it's like German genes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, can he use like hockey with that? Like, can he coat himself at least a couple times? Because it really feels like he just doesn't use coating. And I'm like, are you out here with like base armament hockey fighting people?
Exactly.
Like this, we
Exactly.
1,000 chapters in, you got to be doing more than that.
Oh, never mind. According to Volume 4 billion, none of the current members of the crew have Delph fruit. So yes, it has been confirmed.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Ain't it? I have
I
to read.
wonder.
I honestly am such a like failure of a fan because I do need to read that.
I'm trying to remember if I. The problem is I've probably read it at some point, and
It
then
was
that
the one
knowledge
I think
has
they gave
seeped.
out. I think they gave it out during the release of the movie.
Like usually, whenever like Sandman will translate everything, and I just wait for that. Like I've read I think actually one of the questions you asked earlier was answered in one of like the law novels
Which one?
as
Which
to why he
question?
has a submarine.
Oh.
Um, it came from the person who raised him was a type of like inventor creator
Hmm.
that was kind of like his creation, and
Okay.
then Law took that up with his crew and used it. The thing is, I don't know if that's canon or not.
That is
I
okay.
just know it exists as a Law novel.
Okay. Wolf. Wolf the scientist.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I gotta start reading these peripheral stuff.
Yeah, there's so much.
I'm down for it though. I'm excited. I got like I gotta get back into the Ace novels. All right.
Yeah, I
So
like stuff.
let's start wrapping this up. How for you has this changed your thoughts for the end of the series?
Uh, I mean, I've gone back and forth to where the end of the series is a big fight, or the end of the series is finding One Piece. I think this has solidified me in thinking that the finding of the One Piece will not be the end of the series. I think there's a portion that comes after that
I always thought
that will
something
end the
like that,
series.
but I always thought it had something to do with I just want to fit in space somewhere. I've
I
always
mean,
like I've
I think
been
it'll come into
this way,
play, but I don't know how big it'll come into play.
and it can't be too much because then like we would have like a whole like it's got to end soon, so like it would be a whole issue. But like I always thought it would come into play, but now one thing I definitely think is all these things that like people have been kind of annoyed about. where we have these end of the world scenario, these like big stake scenarios every arc, where like you had the bird cage, you have the island, you had what's going on with Egghead, the Buster Call, um, just like so many of the major arcs, there was like a overlooming like if this doesn't happen, like we're screwed thing. I think that the final major stake will be like the flooding of the planet. Like that is the biggest stake we can have.
How how does that change, I guess my biggest question for this entire flooding thing,
Mm-hmm.
how does that change our end goal to get the One Piece? Does One Piece being underwater make it unobtainable?
No, I don't think it changes anything because I originally always thought the One Piece was underwater, or at least like if it's not underwater, I thought it might be in the sky. But mainly, I always thought it was be underwater.
Okay. I
Because like
recently saw someone else talk about
because
that being.
where is this island? And so it might just be an island that only shows rears itself during certain tides. And then like we have the moon, and we have Luffy. If Luffy's the sun, Blackbeard's probably the moon, and Emu's probably the Earth, or like what we think is the Earth. And we know the moon has to do with tides.
That could be,
So
that makes sense. Something
it,
that's not available at all points in time.
exactly. So, but my only thing is like, why would Roger have been too early? He clearly got to Laugh Tale, so like I do think it is a situation where certain things align, planets align, and it does like create like maybe like a Moses thing and part of the sea, and that's when you can finally access that island.
Well, for in specifically, I think Roger was too early because we were missing Poseidon and Joy Boy.
Oh, he
So,
just he was late because he didn't have all the tools necessary.
right, everything wasn't pretty much lined up.
Okay.
They were still waiting on the two sovereigns to be born.
Okay.
And so now in this era, the idea is that we have all the pieces. We technically should be ready to engage whatever Joy Boy mentioned before.
Interesting. Yeah, so like I said, I don't know what the flood changes besides giving us a new DEF CON situation for Luffy. Also, part of me was wondering, like, is the flood good? Is that the original state of the world? I don't think it could be the original state of the world. Something maybe the flood is Joy Boy's fault. I can't think of it. I keep wondering like the red line. Is it supposed to act as a dam? Like it's super confusing what's going on. What will the destruction of the red line do? Um if everything floods, don't we get the all blue that like we kind of thought we needed or wanted? Um
I want to see all blue with Sanji.
No, and you don't, and I guess you don't care because fuck Sachi. No one wants the all blue Sachi. um, but yeah, it has me so lost, and like it doesn't make sense to me. Like I don't think the current state of the world ever was that it was. Where did all this water come from?
That's a good
Maybe it's
point.
Emu. Maybe it literally is Emu. He controls water, and he is intentionally like using his powers 24/7 to like flood the planet. Like and he's almost there.
That's a question I had. I think when I was first reading, and I got to Water 7, and I was like, why is there so much water everywhere? Why are there just chunks of islands here and there and just a ton of water? Like what's wrong with this planet?
I just thought that was the planet. Like that's why I thought cause and effect, right? I thought because of all the pirates and like the world government and everything was because the world is like this, which led to there being issues with having a centralized government because you're gonna have all these eclectic, unique islands that all have different wants and desires. But like now it might be the flip, the like reverse, and it just goes to show that no matter what you try to do, there's always going to be rebellion. And so like maybe you flooded this place to start over, but all it did was like you created pirates now because like okay, we're just gonna go off, we're gonna create these floating vessels and go off and still do what we want to do just on these floating vessels now. Now you actually enabled us to have more freedom.
Basically, like you gave us the pushing power to make us
Yeah,
who we are.
yeah. Now we can actually. It's a lot easier to transverse on these ships than it was. I don't know. I don't know, but like I can't wait to see this ancient city. I wonder if it's Atlantis. I wonder what ancient technology we're gonna go. I wonder if we find out if like humans are actually like the first beings, or maybe it was automaton in the first place. What if we have something weird like Doctor Stone and like they're just fucking like aliens, like um, or we have a Prometheus moment where like humans are just fucking experiments, but it doesn't matter. Like Vegapunk was saying, it doesn't matter that there's a god or not a god. You're alive, and therefore just do what you want with that. Maybe it's all a metaphor for like us. Like don't worry about your creator. Just worry about the fact that like you're here and you can do whatever you want while you're here. I don't know.
That I mean, that last one specifically would stick to the kind of the overarching ideal of One Piece, where it's like freedom,
Yeah,
freedom to do
exactly.
what you want.
Because like I said, I am perpetually stuck on why Vegapunk is making such a big deal about like the clones being undeniably human.
Like I
Not
would,
yeah, go ahead.
I as much as I like the reveal of the ocean sinking,
Mm-hmm.
I need Vegapunk to give me something on Void's entry.
Yes, same.
Like
Because I did not
I
think that's what it
need,
was going to be. I thought it was going to be like there used to be an ancient kingdom. I thought it would end with there used to be an ancient kingdom called
yeah, like yeah,
Dawn,
name drop
named
something.
Dawn, and then and then next chapter.
Because I read the world's gonna sink in the ocean. I was like, oh, okay,
No,
that's
that blew me away. It did blow me away. I did immediately was like, that is big news. But I also was
yeah.
like, I hope we get other stuff too.
I was like, that's so not what I thought you would say.
Not at all. But I'm very nervous that this is gonna be like the Devil Fruits again, where like that was the announcement though. So like
I
we know we are no closer to understanding the Devil Fruits than we were. Like they're from Desire, and like at first all of us were like, oh my god, blah blah blah. But like in actuality, are we any closer to understanding anything?
feel farther from the point.
Like, yeah, yeah,
I have
like
less information
yeah,
on.
we like at first that reveal was super like oh my god, but like in hindsight, like we are no closer, no closer.
I hope Oda doesn't troll us and just leave us with the sinking and then kind of like monologuing for a bit.
If he doesn't talk about the ancient kingdom, I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna flip. I'm gonna flip my.
I need it.
I I I
And
I need because there's a handful of things I was like disappointed about. Like I was super upset that the whole Egghead Island arc started with the premise that like you can't stop something's nature, and then like the whole pacifista thing was resolved by like Bonnie giving an order, and that kind of pissed me off because I was kind of hoping it was going to be a situation where because all of the cyborgs use are clones of
they're all Kumas.
they're all clones of Kuma, they would all have his lineage factor and would all have his love for Bonnie, and would just like not try to kill her. And I thought it would be like an illusion, alluding back to that scene earlier where Bonnie is about to get blasted by a pacifista, and like Luffy has to save her, and and they're just like, yo, just like that's not your dad, just like kill him. And it would have worked out that like she didn't kill him or she didn't attack it because it turns out like they're like all her dad in a way. And
Yeah,
like
that familiar bond extends to every single clone because
And it makes me
they're all
really sad
clones.
that like that's not at all what happened. They were really about to blow her up if she didn't give that command.
That
Like they
that is
really,
kind of crazy.
huh? Say it.
So that is kind of crazy.
I was so I was like, so what was the so I hate when like I don't want to overread into things, but I also like don't want to underread into things. And I felt like I was picking up all these clues for O to be like, nah, no.
I mean, that was my theory, especially when because Vegapunk has a moment specifically where he says, "Oh, I guess these seraphim carry parts of the original,
like with
like
fucking, I thought that's what the whole
personalities of
point
the
of
original."
I thought that was what the whole point of fucking what's her name, Boa Hancock's Seraphim like
Yeah.
helping
So
Luffy.
like the one thing like I still have some similarity. I think S Bear is going to do what you just said,
Okay,
where if they have an interaction, she will be able to convince S Bear
but would she
based
even need
solely
to
on like
convince Esper of anything though? Which like she wouldn't even need to convince him.
that's the thing is I don't know if because technically speaking, if Vegapunk did what he did, he would also have installed that control in S Bear.
Mm.
But if he didn't, I could see the whole lineage factor come into play. It would be a good way to bring it back, but it would also make things slightly more confusing because why did you do it that way?
Yeah, so yeah, confused. Super confusing. I don't want to be that guy where if something didn't happen because I wanted it to, like it's bad, but like I'm sure he has plans, but like I just feel like you really built up this whole like thing with them. Finish it.
Yeah, it's like give me the rest.
Because I mean,
You
like
started.
I make theories all the time. I used to talk to you about like how it was sad and Wano like X Y Z didn't happen, Lick and I or didn't become more important. We didn't learn anything about poneglyphs. We didn't learn anything about like more of like this the stuff that the Sakazuki like the Kazuki clan was doing. There's a really cool theory that like instead of cola, Frankie might use green blood, and like I think that's awesome. But like based upon what's happening, I don't think that's going to happen at all. I was what else? Something else happened on like Egghead that like I was super eager about. Like I thought like I just thought more stuff would happen with like punk records. And I thought like what else? What else? What else? I just thought there was like so much stuff that I was excited for that I'm like, I don't like Vegapunk would give them like upgrades to like like you know
I wanted Vegapunk and Frankie to have like a one-on-one
yes.
inventors,
Yes.
creators, scientific experiment type deal.
Yep.
Vegapunk's dead. What am I supposed to do with that?
Well,
What
is he dead
they killed
though?
him.
Is he dead though? Because his brain is there. And I always was asking myself that Apple thing, is it just a receiver?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's just like the receipt. But I guess I wanted it to be OG Vegapunk. I wanted him to like meet this person that he's known about since he went to Vegapunk's homeland
Mm-hmm.
and like kind of solve his research and stuff. I wanted him to talk face to face more with the the man in the chair,
Yeah.
like the one true Vegapunk.
Yep.
If he gets it from Lilith, I'm like, okay, cool, but you're you're a copy. I wanted OG.
I hope he became sentient AI. Like something.
I mean, I feel like he was alluding to that. Basically, he wanted to turn his brain into something that could be used universally, which is basically himself. So he wanted to be Jarvis.
Yeah.
Like that's
I also don't get how the backups work. Like what do they know and don't know? And I guess they can hold back. Like how did York go so long without like just this having how come she doesn't know like where these certain things are hidden? Also, why wasn't she like in the video? The Stella is there, and also isn't the what's the mini one?
Edison
Edison,
and
Edison and Stella were there,
Pythagoras are
right?
in there.
Oh, there. Oh, Pythagoras was there too.
Yeah, I think
So
Pythagoras is in the
how come
back.
she wasn't part of this meeting or video? Like,
That's a good question. It does seem like there are specific pieces of information that not all of them like Shaka specifically seems to have a relationship with Dragon that the other ones don't really show.
yeah,
So it's like each one seems to have their own little like mini personality stacked onto Vegapunks.
hmm
which comes with like different knowledge here and there. And clearly they don't share everything because York doesn't know anything. No one
Yep.
knew about York.
Yep.
This, that, and the other. So
Yep. Oh, all right. Think we have talked about everything there is to fucking talk about, man.
sad part is we have it.
I mean, for us, like, I'm so mad because I know like the techings out there and certain other people are like probably like I know that there's things I'm missing. And I'm sad about it, but like, oh, I'll figure it out later.
At some point.
At some point, like I might. I don't have the time, but I low key want to do a reread, man.
I mean, I think it's.
I want to do a reread.
I usually do 2 rereads a year when I can fit it in.
Yo, I respect
Just
the
to, like,
shit out you. Back when
regather.
I was like younger, I'm talking like high school. I used to reread One Piece just on whims,
Just whenever you
like
could.
just. But like I have not done that in a decade. Like I've reread like, and I've recently like rewatched it with my girl. But like I had been for the longest ever since I decided to start doing this content creation. I said I was gonna like I wanted to sit down and like with a pen and paper and go through it. And I tried that, could not. I am not that kind of guy. I am not that kind of guy. Like if I'm gonna read it, I'm gonna read it to enjoy.
That's I had that thought for like 10 seconds and I was like, that doesn't sound fun.
At
I'm
all.
not gonna do
At
that.
all. I'm going to tell you right now, like fucking reading One Piece as like a fucking like notation experience. Ugh!
Nope. Nope. I'm not
and
about to
it
take
and it's so and
notes
it's such a
on
slog
1,000
too.
chapters.
It's such a slog too because you know Oda like puts stuff in the background. You know he like does certain things, so you're not just like reading it. You're like reading and like analyzing the panel, reading and analyzing. And so like I'm just like yeah no no I'm not the one. I shout out to all the people who are the one though.
Yeah, y'all got that. Y'all got that.
Y'all got that. And when y'all make your videos, I'll check them out, and then I'll, revamp them, maybe review those chapter.
We'll do notations on your notation.
Yes, there you go. We'd love to see it. All right, so yeah, man, the world of One Piece is flooding. This changes the game. How so? We don't have enough information to know. Um, I think this reinforces the fact that like we know Oda likes to do microcosm, so I think Wano and Jaya are just gonna be just versions of like what the One Piece is. By the way, with the Shanks thing, I forgot to tell you the other thing I thought with how he was getting around so quickly. I'm wondering if there's like underwater like channels or canals that he uses, but his ship doesn't seem very like it could go underwater, but I don't know, maybe they have their own coding thing. Who the hell
So you might
knows?
just have like someone on there that just knows they're in the know about coding.
I mean, we also have like Boa Hancock who has snakes pull her around. Like Shanks does seem like the kind of dude to have the pull to like have some kind of like sea monster on deck. Like, oh, I forgot that like or way early in the series, like almost everyone had some giant sea monster. Like Arlong had like the one cow, and then we had like the Kraken earlier, and like so like it's not out of the and like we had the octopus to help us like float to like so we've seen repeatedly throughout the series like animals used for like to assist or direct vehicles for transportation. Um, I'm wondering why the teleportation of Delfruit was so important for Blackbeard to get his hands on.
I mean, I think we
It,
still there's more potential coming from that fruit, I guess.
exactly, like how far it can reach. I want to know if the throwaway line about like I'm still working on my power, if that's just for us, if that's just about like distancing, if that's going to be something that rears its head against Usopp and Usopp finds out like a weakness of it. Um, yeah, man, this shit is crazy. Hey, what's your name? Stole Saturn's ability before or after Juribani took control over the pacifista.
Before.
Because I was
Because
about to
I
say,
believe she got it after Kuma punched him.
okay, because I was going to say, sorry, I was gonna say that's the face that they need.
I mean, yeah,
Like that's the face that they need. So
that technically does make way more sense. Had they known that, they probably would have. And what's also crazy is that they. I don't know if she had her fruit then, but at
mhm.
some point, Blackbeard had Bonnie. He had that power in his hands
Yeah,
when he
he
gave it to the
did.
government.
He did. Yo, he's kicking him. Yo, he is kicking
He's
himself right.
he
I
is
didn't even
punching
think about
air
that.
right now.
Yo, I didn't even think about that. He literally had the key to all the pacifista, like and Seraphim.
He could
Yo.
have had crazy power.
Also, like, what does he need to be a king for? Like, what will do you think that the leaders actually no, there's no way in hell. Like, the people at the reverie wouldn't know, never mind. I was gonna say, do you think they know about the flood? And there's no way in hell. Like if Vivi knew, we'd know.
Yeah, I think no one has known since Vivi's ancestor. After that, they're like literal politicians of their world. They know about the policies, they know about
I
money, economics, that kind of stuff. They don't know any actual like
and it makes a lot of sense why
critical stuff.
the Celestials all have the quote unquote spacesuits, the bubbles. Like we were thinking,
Yeah,
unle- but actually not really, because if they're at the top, why would they?
I mean they can function both ways.
Yeah, just as a countermeasure. Ah, my brain hurts. My brain hurts. All right, let's let's close up shop. So, like I was saying before, World of One Piece, drowning, going underwater. What does it mean? What do you guys think it means? Did we miss anything? Um, be sure to check me out. My YouTube is Otaku Talk OD, spelled just like that, Otaku Talk OD. I release every week. Sometimes I miss a couple, but for the most part, I'm pretty consistent. I review every single chapter every week, and sometimes I stream. I'm not strong with my streaming, but sometimes if I want to talk about something, I'll stream about it. Other times I'll be playing like League of Legends, Genshin, stuff like that. So you can find me on my Twitch at Nija Nightmare 93. And that's all. That's all I really got. This has been League of Otaku. And I will let Tyrant King Kuma sign himself out.
I am the Tyrant King. You can find me on YouTube at TyrantKingKuma, or you can find me at Blurted Out, which is a side podcast thing I'm kind of doing, where it's more than just a One Piece. Basically, the main channel is like all One Piece, and then the podcast is a bit more variety. I don't stream. I do play League.
You
I used to stream League.
poor
I no
man.
longer do
Poor man.
that.
Terrible game.
Terrible, but I can't stop playing.
Yep. Yeah, addicting. All right, guys. Well, it's been real. It's been fun. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we have a lot more to talk about, a lot more in store. And if there's anything you guys ever want to see, or if you want us to do this again, just let me know. Anyway, take care, peace, and bye. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe. Please follow me and follow Kuma. Take care and peace.
Deuces.